Podmortem would like to thank Original Cinematic for sponsoring this week's episode. Original Cinematic is an independent production company that has made it their mission to create, produce, and promote films that are inclusive, honor women, promote the LGBTQIA+ community, and provide prominent positions and roles to POC actors and filmmakers, and promote the films of marginalized and underrepresented populations. These are all things that are extremely important to our podcast as well.
Original Cinematic is currently accepting scripts and treatments. Both William and Xxena Rush are also available via email or Zoom to discuss writing and provide input and resources to all aspiring writers, free of charge. Their information will be made available in the show notes. There may be delays due to a hectic schedule and all projects being read on a first-come, first-served basis, but everything will be read and responded to. William Rush has individually produced numerous projects, including Pack is Here, Before, The Cottage, The Winemaker, and Day by Day. Their multi-award-winning film Group premiered and was celebrated at multiple film festivals as well as screenings, both in person and via Zoom, that were graciously made available to us and our patrons.
Original Cinematic has many exciting projects on the horizon. Their next film, Immersion, has been completed. The award-winning Sweetener is in development. Fetish begins shooting in September, and Encore will begin next spring. Their documentary, Women in Conversation, is slated for a September release, and we're looking forward to each and every one of them. It is truly an honor to partner with Original Cinematic, and we can't thank them enough for their contribution to our show. And now, back to our regularly scheduled program.
Salutations! Welcome to Podmortem. I'm Travis Hunter-Sayapin, joined as always by my co-hosts, my sister and my brother-in-law.
Hi, I'm Reneé Hunter-Vasquez.
Hi, I'm John Paul Vasquez.
This week, we're broadcasting live from Hillcrest Academy, discussing the 1998 slasher film, Halloween H20, 20 Years Later. This film was directed by Steve Miner from a screenplay by Robert Zappia and Matt Greenberg. Following the critical failure and commercial disappointment of the previous entry, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, the creators went back to the drawing board to chart a way forward for the franchise. Ditching the lore in favor of a direct link to past success, Halloween H20, 20 Years Later, offered not only a return to form, but the triumphant return of final girl Laurie Strode to face off once again with the iconic slasher villain, Michael Myers. With well-crafted sequences of suspense, an emphasis on character and dialogue, and an atmosphere befitting of the decade of its release, this film would achieve box office success, revive franchise interest, and remains a nostalgic favorite in the hearts of many horror fans. This film was suggested to us by friends of the show, Miguel Myers ATX, Joel Rodriguez, Lindsay, Pumpkin Spice Girl, Skank Sinatra, Probably My Jugs, Beth Bauer, Jay, Scott Troutman-Wise, Haley, and Mercedes X Bleeple. We'd like to thank each and every one of them for their continued support of the show, as well as this suggestion. So, Halloween H20, 20 Years Later. What were your first impressions on the film?
I can't remember exactly when I seen it. I know it wasn't in the theater. I know I caught this on DVD, and I've seen it, I want to say more than a handful of times. I remembered really, really liking it when I was younger, but then now watching it for the show, because I'll be honest, I haven't seen this since I was a teen.
Oh.
So watching it for the show, I still really enjoyed the shit out of this movie. I will be honest. I like 1, 2, and then this. I don't need 4, 5, and 6. 3 can stay. 3 is good. I really did enjoy this a lot more. I don't know if it's the nostalgia of it. I don't know if it's what, but I did feel comfortable with the way everything looked and how the movie, I don't know, the feeling of it, the atmosphere and everything. I was like, this feels right. Or you know what I mean? Like, this feels familiar. everybody does what they're supposed to do. It is very fast.
Yeah.
The movie's very short. It does go pretty quick. That I did remember. There was some stuff I didn't remember. Something I think that I put in my own head about a character, and then later I was like, I don't know why I thought that, but I guess I wanted something else to happen that didn't happen. And but I was like, oh no, this is still fine. It's a fun movie. Of course, it has its problems, whatever. But I don't give a shit. I think that this movie was still fun. I really, really enjoyed this.
Yeah, this one was definitely a staple when we were younger. I know we watched the hell out of it. We watched this and we watched Resurrection a lot too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in my head, I'm like, these probably don't hold up. You know what I mean? I haven't watched them in a long time, but it's like just thinking about it on paper and then us going through this franchise and going through so many franchises that go away, come back, have installments of varying enjoyability. I'm like, I was young, I was entertained. But watching it, I'm like, I got to be honest with you. If I'm going to tell it, then I got to tell it all. This movie is fun.
Yeah.
I still think it's a really good time. I love seeing Josh Hartnett do his thing. This is, the Faculty era and everything. Jamie Lee Curtis being back. I don't love the masks.
Well, I was going to say, which one?
Yeah.
There are moments where that they do pull focus a little bit. But I'll say for LL Cool J.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, Michelle Williams with the pencil thin 90s eyebrows.
Yeah.
It's just fun. I didn't expect it to be so enjoyable, especially now. We were talking a few days ago about how when you're young, you don't really think about pacing and run times. And so learning how short this is and what they do with it, there's really not a wasted moment. Even though when you get down to it, shit doesn't fully pop off until like an hour into the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm still sat. I'm still invested. I'm still, okay, these last 20 minutes are going to be fucking balls to the wall.
Right.
But something about the pacing just works for how short this is, but also how long it takes us to get to, maybe somebody coming back or whatever. I'm not gonna give anything away,
Right.
but but no, I thought this was really fun, and I was fully expecting this to be kind of a nostalgia fueled watch, but I think just genuinely, I like Halloween H20.
Yeah.
I think it's just fun. Plus, following the Thorn trilogy, the bar's kind of low.
Yeah.
I agree. I do want to give, as far as the Thorn trilogy is concerned, I still think Halloween 4 is fantastic.
The ending is fantastic.
There are some parts I will agree, but then when we get into 5 and 6, it's interesting.
Yeah.
The roof
That's the word,
hoisting.
yes.
Yeah, it's a way to take it.
Yeah.
But I remember, as you said, watching this as kids so often.
Mm-hmm.
And this was our Halloween timeline.
Okay.
Because Mom didn't care for the Thorn trilogy. She still doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Does not really fuck with Halloween 3, which is heartbreaking for me. But it was Halloween 1, Halloween 2, H20.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I remember constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, that just made this film so incredibly comfortable to return to.
Yeah.
It has this, again, maybe it's just a matter of it being a Halloween film that makes it so fun to get back into.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also just that autumn atmosphere.
Yeah.
You have this thing that is kind of just built in nostalgia.
Right.
But I think that coming back to it as an adult, it still does hold up in a lot of ways. I completely agree. I think that Jamie Lee Curtis does some really good work with Laurie Strode. And we get to see the growth of this character.
Yeah.
And if you chart that as an idea of its own little trilogy, and there's not another one after
We just leave it
just
here,
stop.
maybe.
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it works so well for that character to finally have what we'll get to.
Right.
But I don't know. I think that is something in retrospect that I've realized as well, is how much David Gordon Green took some notes
Yeah.
Yeah.
from H20, because there is a decent amount of overlap in that character development.
Mm-hmm.
But watching it again, there's just so much stuff that you remember beat for beat. Like, I think I know this film kind of like the back of my hand. And it was that fear, like you said, of like, well, did I enjoy this a lot because I was 7? And is it going to be powered by that?
Right.
And it is partially powered by that, but it's partially powered by the merits of the film itself, I think. When it comes down to it, I would say that this is probably one of my favorite sequels of all of them that we will get to and have discussed.
Okay.
I agree.
But again, that doesn't mean that it's perfect. There's some things here and there. I do think I agree with what you're talking about the pacing, but I also think that there is like a slump in the middle of the film where you're like, this is kind of odd for a 90s slasher to kind of really not have very much going on until...
I truly, I didn't feel it in the moment, but it was when it starts popping off.
Right,
and I
right.
paused it to take a note, and I'm like, we're an hour in?
Like, oh, we just been hanging out.
What have we been doing this whole time?
But it does pick up.
Right.
And I think it leads to a really good finale with some really cool set pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel a lot of Scream in this film's DNA.
Yes.
And I can definitely explain that in just a minute. But it's just very interesting, like how horror is oddly cyclical in this way. How a film can take so much from the original Halloween, and then we come back to a Halloween sequel that takes so much from Scream.
Right.
It's just a very interesting thing that happened. But I think that what it is a film that is both a product of its time, but also very reverent and respectful to where it came from.
Yeah.
But before we get into the discussion of this film, which I know we're very excited to do,
Yeah.
I did want to talk a little bit about the production of it. And I do have a list of sources that I'm going to be citing for this section, as well as the episode that will follow. So I got a lot of information from the books Taking Shape and Taking Shape 2 by Dustin McNeil and Travis Mullins. Thanks again to friend of the show, Half Price Horror, for letting us borrow these. I also got information from a featurette called Blood is Thicker Than Water, The Making of Halloween H20, Unmasking the Horror, The Making of Halloween H20, and a commentary track with director Steve Miner and Jamie Lee Curtis. So, as we discussed on episode 261, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, the production of the film preceding Halloween H20 was fraught with behind-the-scenes drama and creative difficulties. And following this film's reception, it left the Halloween franchise in an odd sort of limbo. Initially, there had been plans to continue the Cult of Thorn plotline, with previous screenwriter Daniel Farrens even fleshing out a story that involved Haddonfield going full cult, almost in like a Wicker Man-style story, which could have been interesting, but it was ultimately decided by producers and the executives at Dimension Films to go in an entirely different direction.
No good.
They decided not only to abandon this plotline entirely, but after kind of losing faith in the theatrical future of Halloween, they opted for the next film to be released direct to video.
Oh, wow.
An obvious downgrade.
Yeah.
And often the death knell for the quality of a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But regardless, Dimension Films saw this as the only path forward that would be financially viable for Halloween. So around the same time, Dimension executive Richard Potter came across the work of a writer called Robert Zappia, and he was an aspiring screenwriter with a few notable TV credits. He had never written a feature film that had been produced before.
Okay.
But a screenplay that he had written called Population Zero impressed Potter so much that he decided to give Zappia the opportunity to script the new direct-to-video sequel.
Okay.
Zappia had been a lifelong fan of Halloween, and so he naturally jumped at this opportunity, and he was basically given carte blanche to write whatever he wanted with no obligation to adhere to previous storylines.
Huh.
So in 1997, Zappia penned his first draft titled Halloween, Two Faces of Evil.
Ooh.
Pretty cool title.
Yeah.
And what it was is basically a very interesting take on the mythology involving a copycat killer. There was a detective element with a lot of inspiration from The Silence of the Lambs.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a mystery at the center of it regarding what Michael Myers' involvement even was in the killings. But the climax of the film took place at a boarding school.
Okay.
So producers loved the script, But what Zappia didn't know at the time is that someone else also had an idea for a sequel, and it led to a very interesting avenue that would bring us to what would become Halloween H2O.
Okay.
Around that time that Zappia was working on his screenplay, none other than Jamie Lee Curtis was considering her return to the Halloween franchise in the form of a 20th anniversary sequel. She said that it was meant to be a thank you to the horror genre as a whole, but specifically Halloween fans that basically launched her career.
Yeah.
Right.
So once this idea arrived, Jamie Lee Curtis set up a meeting with John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, and she hoped that they would direct, produce, and co-write the film. And interestingly, Carpenter and Hill were very into the idea and agreed.
Okay.
So with the band back together, Curtis set up a meeting with Dimension Films. So at this meeting, with Jamie Lee Curtis, John Carpenter, Deborah Hill, and those scumbag piece of shit Weinsteins,
Uh-huh.
who would later take credit for this entire idea, by the way, even though it was Jamie Lee Curtis that started it.
Yeah.
The Weinsteins apparently loved this idea of an anniversary sequel, and on the merit of that alone, decided that if they moved forward with it, it would definitely be worthy of a theatrical release rather than the direct-to-video.
Okay.
So that was good.
Yeah.
But there was one very important hitch. John Carpenter, having felt very slighted by decades of unpaid profits, requested not only a multi-picture deal, but a $10 million fee to sign on as director.
Okay.
I see no problem with this.
No.
No.
Weinsteins did.
Yeah.
And they denied him immediately, and Carpenter left the project, followed shortly by Deborah Hill.
Damn.
Good for him, though.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
no, fuck you guys then.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis did stick around. Well, we know that.
Yeah.
She did?
It's a big surprise here. But the loss of that creative team kind of took the wind out of Dimension's sails, and everything was kind of put on hold at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the massive success of Wes Craven's Scream, which the Weinsteins rightfully saw as a love letter to slasher films, Halloween in particular, that inspired the producers to reach out to none other than Kevin Williamson to see if he would be interested in being involved in writing the sequel.
Okay.
He initially declined because he was too busy working on developing Dawson's Creek in Wilmington, North Carolina, and so the Weinsteins decided to sweeten the deal. They offered to produce his screenplay, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, and allow him to direct it if he wrote a 6-page treatment for Halloween 7.
Do you remember on The Simpsons when they were trying to figure out who shot Mr. Burns, and they come to the Simpsons house and Homer's drinking the glass of milk and his black fingerprints are all over it? That is Kevin Williamson with this film, to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it reeks of Kevin Williamson
Yeah.
in the most complimentary way. Because I'm like, is this just like the era? This is just what we were entering into? Like, this was the vibe?
Right,
but like,
right.
that makes so much like sense.
Because you would be like, especially with what you see in the credits, because you don't see his name in
Right.
any capacity as a writer.
Right.
You're like, are they trying to emulate Kevin Williamson?
Yes, yeah.
And it's like, no, he was definitely involved.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
and you can feel it.
But Williamson obviously had no choice but to accept that offer. And he would say later in interviews that he was also convinced personally by Jamie Lee Curtis, who was in Wilmington at the time working on another film, and Steve Miner, who would be selected to helm Halloween H2O eventually, but was also in Wilmington directing Dawson's Creek.
What the hell? I mean, how do you say no to the guy that directed the greatest film of all time? Right, guys?
It's a matter of
House
opinion.
1985.
Like, well, you just say the name.
Hello?
Say the line, Bart.
You guys knew.
I think Miner was also chosen because he had directed a film called Forever Young with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Sure.
Like, whatever, dude.
It was all about House, okay?
But while the trio were meeting and discussing creative possibilities, Weinstein re-enlisted the help of Robert Zappia. In the meeting, he said, look, Two Faces of Evil is not going to happen. But if you want to write a new draft featuring the return of Laurie Strode, that would help us out a lot. And so he did. And he wrote a draft called Halloween Blood Ties. And depending on the source, because there's conflicting stuff all over the place, either Williamson borrowed from Blood Ties to flesh out his treatment, or Zappia borrowed from Williamson's treatment to flesh out Blood Ties. But eventually, the film started to take shape and get closer and closer to what we would recognize as Halloween H2O. I will say, at the time, one of the drafts that was written, Zappia titled Halloween, The Revenge of Laurie Strode, which is interesting, and I think really anything is better than H2O.
Yeah, and if you're really thinking about it, it's not an O, it's a 0. So I don't.
Oh my
It
God.
is. I don't know why it isn't H20.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the 1-2 of H2O 20 years later.
Yeah,
Pick
dude.
one.
Yeah.
You're being greedy. But I think, I know that we're ignoring 4, 5, and 6, but I feel like it's a cute, wink of it was his and now it's hers. Revenge.
Yeah. I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
But they decided to go with water.
For whatever.
For whatever reason. I don't know if that's just blood is thicker than water.
Well, but hold on. He's also
I'm trying, dear. I'm trying.
You're breaking your back.
I am.
he's the shape.
Uh-huh. So he's the shape
Shape
of
of
water.
Water.
No, that's a different movie. No.
So Del Toro enters when?
Exactly, yeah. I haven't gotten to that yet. But as we were saying earlier regarding Williamson's writing credit,
Right.
through extensive rewrites, Zappia's drafts were moving further and further away from Williamson's ideas. And so through WGA arbitration, Williamson would lose the story credit that he had been given. And this pissed off the Weinsteins because they had hoped to use his name and his connection to Scream to put it all over everything.
Right.
Wow.
And they weren't able to. And so when Williamson did stay on as this uncredited writer and was still offering notes to Zappia, they decided that it would be right to give him at least an executive producer credit instead. And so that's what happened.
Okay.
But after 7 drafts and 1 year working on this screenplay, Zappia left the project just before principal photography began. And so they were still wanting to rewrite several portions of this film and streamline a lot of aspects of it. And so the Weinsteins were like, hey, I have an idea. Kevin Williamson.
Oh my God.
Brand new idea. But they brought him in and he literally did a page 1 rewrite of the entire film.
That's crazy.
And he bolstered some teenage dialogue. He took out an entire subplot from the film that made it to where Halloween H2O was and still is the shortest film in the Halloween franchise.
Okay.
But the rewrites continued during production with this uncredited work from Williamson and also another screenwriter called Matt Greenberg, who does get a screenwriting credit.
What the hell? Has there been another goddamn rewrite?
Yes.
That was Scream.
It was. Yes, it was. But production lasted about 2 months in different places around Los Angeles, including Universal Studios, with rewrites taking place during filming, including several crucial aspects of the film's ending, which we'll get to. But after a rushed and difficult post-production that we'll also talk about a little bit later, the film was finally released in August of 1998. It received mixed reviews from critics, but it would absolutely revitalize the franchise for the fans, becoming the highest-grossing film in the franchise at the time, eventually making $75 million on its $17 million budget.
Damn.
But it gave a definitive ending for this particular timeline, and there absolutely was not a sequel released 4 years later. Now, before we stalk this film in the night, we would like to issue a warning for spoilers. Pod Mortem is a very in-depth podcast, and in thoroughly discussing horror films, we have no choice but to spoil a thing or two. If you don't wish to be spoiled, please go watch the film, then come back and enjoy the show. If you've already seen the film or don't care about spoilers, let's come face to face with the past. Now, this film relies heavily on having already seen Halloween and Halloween 2. If you haven't, we suggest you go watch them, or go listen to episodes 31 and 73 of our show as a refresher. This episode also might contain spoilers for films in the franchise that we've covered so far. So the film begins with the upbeat, harmonious vocals of Mr. Sandman by the Chordettes, which plays over the production vanity plates, soon giving way to the slick sound of an unsheathed knife, its sharp blade raised high, before being plunged into the orange flesh of a pumpkin.
As soon as the song started, I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
This is going to be a trip down memory lane.
Mhm.
It's like, we're home.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool, this like connection to the end of Halloween 2.
Yeah.
Because it's like, again, we're going.
Yeah, we're just going to turn our back to those real quick.
But an uncredited mother stands on her leaf-littered lawn, cutting a jagged circle around the stem of the gourd, which rests on a small table covered in newspapers. An excited group of kids surround her, jumping and cheering, filled with the spirit of the season, and we pan from them over a rain-soaked sidewalk to a trio of children racing down it in their autumn jackets, past pumpkin-lined fence posts. But as the Cordettes continue their plea for a dream, we settle on a house just across the street, a modest tan sedan pulling to park in front of it as we get on-screen text reading, Langdon, Illinois, October 29th, 1998. But out of the driver's seat steps none other than Nurse Marion Chambers, played by Nancy Stevens, a cigarette sticking out of her mouth as she ascends the steps of the walkway to her front door.
Nancy Stevens. We remember her from Halloween 1,
Mhm.
78, and Halloween 2, 81. And I don't want to spoil things, but Halloween Kills 21.
Indeed.
That it's so fucking cool that they got her for this.
Yeah.
In Williamson's treatment, this character was supposed to be Dr. Loomis's daughter.
Oh.
And so that would have been interesting, of course, with what we find out about everything.
Yeah.
But it's how are you going to pass up the opportunity to bring back?
Right, definitely.
But the preoccupied Marion digs in her purse for a lighter and is only snapped out of her search when she reaches her porch and her white nurse's shoes crunch over a mess of shattered glass. The music stops, Marion peering up from the ground and over to a busted exterior light which rests next to the front door. She cautiously creaks the door open, and we spy her through a small slice of light as she steps into the shadows of her home. As a clock ticks incessantly in the background, Marion glances through her living room, past the piano parked in the corner, and over the cozy couch settled at the room's center, to find the hallway just across from the front door. When a loud clattering is heard, the source unseen but emanating from deep within her home, Marion immediately retreats onto her porch, cursing a fearful shit. Leaving her front door open just a crack, Marion creeps across the front lawn of her neighbor's house, climbing the steps of their porch to ring the doorbell and pound frantically on their door.
I was glad that she was like, fuck this, and went next door.
Me too. I was like, because having seen this so many times, there's so much that I remember beat for beat, but this beginning, there was a lot of stuff that was new to me.
Yeah.
But when her only response is a startling sound nearby, accompanied by rising tension in the score, we follow through Marion's point of view as she steps off of the porch and over to the driveway, where she's promptly jump-scared by someone wearing a hockey mask. Wrong film.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm like, I wonder if this is a nod or like a kind of sucking your teeth. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm like, I wonder.
Steve Miner.
Oh, duh. So a nod.
But clutching a hockey stick in his hand, the young man removes his mask, revealing himself to be Jimmy, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Inception, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Looper, 2012. 50-50, 2011. 10 Things I Hate About You in 99.
There you go.
Classic.
Yeah.
I remember always liking him when I was a kid because our Uncle Rob would always watch Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah.
And I just thought he was so cool.
But flanked by Tony, his buddy, played by Brandon Williams, Jimmy greets Marion as Miss Whittington, smiling as he asks her what's going on.
Brandon Williams. He was in Mean Creek in 04, Mystery Men in 99, Never Been Kissed in 99, and Crossroads in 02.
Okay. There's a lot to unpack here. Never Been Kissed and Mean Creek were major hyperfixation films.
That's funny because Mystery Men and Crossroads were for me.
So everyone's represented. Thank you, Brandon Williams. I did want to say I saw this interview with Nancy Stevens.
Okay.
And she was saying, because her name is Marion Chambers, but they greet her as Mrs. Whittington. And she said that she had done either witness protection or a name change whenever they moved to Langdon.
Okay.
So that I guess everybody is paranoid about a certain, serial killer.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting because it's never really explored or explained. They just call her that because that's what they know her as.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's, Huh.
Well, I mean, it's better than her being like, yes, Mrs. What, you know what I mean? Like
pulling her collar.
Yeah. You can fill in the gaps.
But a concerned Marion shares that someone has broken into her house. And when Jimmy asks a disbelieving, "No shit?" Marion returns his words back to him in the affirmative. We then find Marion sitting on the couch next to Tony, taking a drag from her cigarette as Jimmy paces in front of her on the telephone. Tony turns to her, asking if anyone has ever told her that secondhand smoke kills. And Marion snarks that they have, but they're all dead. And she blows a puff of smoke into his face.
All right.
But Jimmy gives Marion's address to the dispatcher before rushing off the phone, telling her that the police should be by in about 15 minutes. But Jimmy then snaps his fingers, Tony tossing him his hockey stick as he heads for the front door. When Marion asks where he's going, Jimmy answers as if it's obvious. To check out your house? Marion implores him to just wait for the police, but Jimmy scoffs at this suggestion, wondering where the fun is in that. Honestly, it's hitting me now thinking about what Nancy Stevens said in that interview. Do you think that she already thinks it could be Michael Myers?
Huh.
Well, she was not fucking sticking around to play any games. So maybe she's just like, look, there's a hard line. Anything looks weird. It could be anything. Right.
Well, we cut to Jimmy standing at the front door of Marion's house. And as she nervously fidgets with her cigarette between her fingers, Jimmy asks Tony if he's coming with him. A clearly fearful Tony insists that he should stay outside to protect Marion. Jimmy reluctantly accepts this, and to the tune of an ominous piano, he ascends the porch. His sneakers crunching the scattered shards of Marion's broken light, Jimmy pushes the door open with the end of his hockey stick, and after one look back at Marion and his cowardly friend, he disappears into the darkness of her home as the door creaks closed behind him. But once inside, Jimmy's confidence returns to him as he puts on quite an act for the would-be intruder, calling out that he's not to be messed with, and with a whack of his blade against the hardwood floor, he announces, in the third person, Jimmy's been suspended 5 times this year already for getting a little crazy with the stick, all right?
What?
He's putting on a show.
Yeah. He's being super intimidating right now.
I'm afraid. But he twists the aforementioned stick around as he creeps down the hallway, peering into one of the rooms he finds there as the score builds suspensefully, only to find nothing there. But as he continues down the hall, the camera glides through Marion's office, over a pile of file folders and documents strewn across the floor, and we find Jimmy opening the door on the opposite side of the room. When he finds the place to be absolutely trashed, he can only scoff, stumbling out of the room to exit into the kitchen.
Clearly, someone is looking for something.
Yeah. He's like, damn, you live like this?
Yeah. He's just like, whatever. It's like, dude, that's paperwork.
Yeah.
Like, that's scary.
But once in the kitchen, he finds a plate of stale Halloween cookies on the island in the center of the room, snagging one, taking a bite out of it, and discarding it back onto the plate where he found it.
All right.
Come on, man.
Take the whole thing.
Yeah.
Or leave the whole thing.
Yeah.
Don't do this shit.
Whatever happens to him.
Well, he's probably like, oh, whoever was in your house, what are your took a bite out of one of your shitty cookies.
I think Santa Claus was here. But as if this wasn't enough, Jimmy then finds his way over to the refrigerator, opening it up, and after looking both ways, he steals a couple of bottles of beer that he finds inside.
Santa Claus also took some of your beer?
Yeah, no, come on, man.
But behind Jimmy, a narrow door on the wall suddenly starts to open, and through the darkness inside of it falls an ironing board. The thud of its arrival startles the shit out of Jimmy, who whips around with a wild swing of his hockey stick, striking the pot rack above the kitchen island and clearing the contents on top of the counter, including about a dozen eggs right onto the floor.
Santa Claus also fucked up your pots and your groceries.
But when Jimmy finally catches his breath and gets his bearings, all he can do is chuckle at his own foolishness. But when he finally exits the house, seemingly a few hours later, because it is
Yeah.
pitch black.
It's a goddamn how long is he
He's
in
like,
there?
Santa Claus is watching Seinfeld. But Jimmy proudly declares to the waiting Marion and Tony that there is nothing to fear. The coast is clear. Tony asks if he's sure, and Jimmy shares that he checked all of the rooms and all of the closets, too. But when Marion wonders if anything is missing, Jimmy says that he doesn't think so. But they did a real number on her office. Marion's eyes dart around as she tries to make sense of this news, and as she passes Jimmy to approach her front door, he adds, "Oh, and they messed up your kitchen real bad, too." He groans before offering a swift goodnight, the stolen beer bottles knocking together in his pants pocket.
Come on.
I was like, the sound designer, thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
That's real good. But after he bails with Tony, Marion tosses her spent cigarette onto her front lawn, muttering, "So much for the cops," as she opens her front door and heads inside.
I'd still wait.
And what you've been through, you know what I mean? Yeah, we're not going in there alone at all.
No.
And where the hell are the cops?
don't
Yeah.
It's been several hours.
But as Jimmy and Tony continue down the street, clacking their beer bottles together and hatching plans to egg the house across the street, Marion locks the door behind her. But when she tries to switch on the lights, she discovers to her disappointment that the power is out. She sets her purse down on a side table before venturing deeper into her home in search of the breaker box, which she finds in the laundry room. After a few clicks of the switches inside, her problem unresolved, she slams the small door shut before reaching for a flashlight. She turns it on. The beam of its light casts down lens at us, which is accompanied by a suspenseful sting in the score. The light guiding her, Marion makes her way down the dim hall and into her office. She arcs the beam over the disarray, the score climbing to its signature pensive piano as the light reaches a framed photograph of Dr. Samuel Loomis, which rests on a nearby shelf.
At least we get to see him.
We're all happy.
Yeah.
It is always funny to me in movies where they just take film stills and frame them as if it's...
It really happened.
Okay. But casting the light on the opposite wall, Marion finds her file cabinet ripped open, papers strewn about and rifled through. But reaching her desk, she discovers one folder resting there, and upon a white label pressed onto its red tab is the name, Laurie Strode. Marion opens the folder, discovering that it's been emptied of all its contents. Which, this obviously makes sense. But it's also funny to think, where is Michael keeping those papers right now?
That's hilarious. It's also funny that he didn't just take the whole folder.
Yeah, no.
He's like, I want clues.
I want you to know it was me.
But before Marion can make sense of it, the sound of movement in the other room disturbs her search, leading her out into the hall, where we see that her front door is slowly creaking open. As she rushes to close it, a figure in dark coveralls steps out of the shadows behind her, lingering menacingly in the distance. He stands blurry in the background, his eyes black voids within his white mask beneath a mess of hair. This is the Shape, Michael Myers himself, played by Chris Durand.
Chris Durand, he was in Demolition Man in 93. He did stunts in Armageddon, stunts in Smoking Aces. Like, he's done a lot of stunt work.
And he does his own stunts in this film.
Okay.
Damn.
Everything we see, and there's some very ridiculous stuff that goes on.
He said that he kind of showed up not understanding how important Michael Myers was. So he didn't study any of the other films. He just showed up and said he did his own thing and didn't draw any inspiration from any of the previous, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he said what his inspiration was big cats.
We all love them.
Yeah.
The way that they stalk their prey. And he said that when he's like stalking people in the film, he's even growling low in his throat like a cat.
Get that out of there.
What?
I will say.
I'm just telling you what he said.
Every word of that is disappointing. I still feel like even with all that stuff aside, I think he does a really good job.
No,
Yeah. But he said he did have a lot of fun. And in a featurette that I watched, one of the actors said that whenever they would call cut and he would take his mask off, he would always be grinning from ear to ear. Like he was having a blast.
Well, that's good.
But the oblivious Marion peers out into the night, glancing down her suburban street before once again closing the door. When she turns back to face the long corridor behind her, Marion discovers it to be empty. Only now, the back door swings wide open, clattering against the wall of the hall. Autumn leaves catch an eerie breeze outside as Marion creeps closer, only to stop dead in her tracks when a shadow darkens the distant trellis in her backyard, prompting her to very wisely nope the fuck out of there. Again, very impressed.
Yeah.
Aside from going into the house after the boys left, she's done everything right.
Yeah.
She does drop her flashlight for some reason.
Well, that's a
That's a strike.
Yes.
But she races out of her house through the front door and over to Jimmy's place next door. She shoulders her way in, entering the foyer in a mad dash in search of the two teens. Plan 9 from outer space echoes from the television in the living room, beckoning Marion closer as she calls out for Jimmy. And she finds him there, rocking lifelessly in the chair in front of the TV, the sharp blade of his hockey skate lodged into the center of his face, blood pouring from the fresh wound to stain his beanie and the collar of his shirt.
This always stuck with me.
Yeah.
This was cool.
visual, yeah.
Marion screams, shuddering a startled cry as she stumbles down the hall and through the kitchen to reach the back door. She tears it open, the score rising suspensefully as she comes face to face with Tony, his eyes staring past her, unfocused, before tumbling right on top of her, the pair falling to the floor, and we see a knife sticking out of his spine. Marion rushes to push him off of her, but above her, Michael makes his presence known, stepping out of the darkness and into the doorway, wearing his first mask of many.
Okay, we can address the elephant there really quickly. I saw on a featurette where they were talking to makeup artists John Carl Buechler and Brad Hardin. And they were talking about how they also were speaking with Chris Durand, but they said that they had a version of every previous mask lined up and they had Chris Durand try on all of them and photograph him from all different angles, kind of trying to see what worked, what didn't work, what they liked, what they wanted to do away with, whatever. So they end up going with the mask made by K&B.
Mm-hmm.
So they're about 3 weeks into shooting with this K&B mask before they get the call and they're told that it's featureless and it's not going to work per the producers. And also Mustafa Akkad hated this K&B mask. So he contacts Buechler.
Okay.
Buechler makes one using the mold from part 6.
Okay.
From Halloween 6.
Mm-hmm.
Minor, though, has no idea that they're wanting to change the mask until they show up the day that they're shooting this scene with the nurse.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, we don't like this mask. He wanted the features muted, like the part 6 mask that they had made, but Minor really loved the K&B one. So they shoot one version of this with the K&B mask and another one, the whole thing with the mask from part 6, because Minor is fighting for this K&B mask to be kept in. And I'm sure he's like, oh, well, we'll just throw away the other take. But no. No. They said that the first time that you see Michael, they said in that featurette that the first time that you see him is really the only time that we see the Part 6 mask at all.
Which would be this right here.
Correct. So then they commission Stan Winston to make another mask. And they reshoot throughout the film. They reshoot close-ups with this Stan Winston mask.
Yeah.
And it cost like $2 million just for the reshoots because they were so unhappy and there were so many conflicting opinions with the K&B mask and the Part 6 mask.
Yeah.
So now we're redoing with close-ups with the Stan Winston mask, but you'll have like a wide shot where it's the K&B mask and then you'll have the reshoots and the close-ups where it's the Stan Winston mask. Same scene.
Yeah.
And there's also one shot where there's a digital mask.
Yeah. I know maybe we probably touched on it or whatever before on the other ones, but I'm still. Why can't we just use the Shatner mask again? Or why?
I've always been so puzzled about that. I don't know if it was a matter of rights.
That has to be it because I don't know why. I don't know why we wouldn't just do that.
I don't know either, and it's so strange because once we get back to those, the Halloweens that Rob Zombie made is the Shatner mask.
Yeah.
Halloweens that David Gordon Green made are clearly the Shatner mask.
Yeah.
So I wonder if a deal was struck or something.
I don't know.
But they were fucking up for a long time.
Yeah.
In my view.
I don't understand.
I laughed too on that featurette because they were talking about the digital one. Oh, it's just like kind of floating.
Yeah.
And one of them was like, I don't know. I don't know why we didn't just reshoot that.
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's just really hilarious. But it does. It sucks because I do enjoy this film and I think it's a lot of fun. But that mask is distracting at times.
Oh, yeah.
Because it literally will change in between shots, in between scenes. It's just really funny. And hearing the back and forth of them being like, yeah, well, he didn't like it, but he did like it, and he's fighting for it, but he doesn't want it, and they wanted features, they didn't want features. Like, it's just, we are filming actively, and we can't come to a consensus. It's wild.
It's funny to me, though, because no matter what you like, you do get some of it.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for the editor, Patrick Lussier, because he how
No, it's impossible.
It's impossible.
There's no way.
But he did his best.
Yeah, that's true.
But as Marion reaches her feet and races deeper into the house, Michael retrieves a blade from the knife block on the counter, stalking the nurse in a slow pursuit. When he reaches the living room, the red and blue lights of police sirens shine through the windows, which capture his attention, and we see a squad car park in front of Marion's house next door. But with Michael distracted, Marion rises up from behind the couch, clutching the fire poker, which she raises high before bringing it down across the back of Michael's skull. He crumbles to the floor in a heap. I will say every time Michael is struck in this film, it's very funny.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
And you can tell, he's doing his own thing.
Yeah.
But as Marion tries to escape, Michael snags her ankle, arcing his knife downward and narrowly missing the nurse as she pulls herself away at the last moment. But two cops, played by John Cassini and Jody Wood, step out of their car and ascend Marion's porch. Illuminated by the flashing red and blue, they stand completely unaware of what's happening just next door. Marion cries out to them, reaching her feet to stand in the window to call out. This gag with her in the window, it reminded me a lot of Tara Reid in Urban Legend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whenever she's like, Mrs. Bouvier, or whatever. But there's also something else about it that I can't place, but it's there's something very of its time about it.
Yeah.
But Marion stands blurry in the background, the cops surveying the broken light next to Marion's front door, assuming it to be just some kind of prank as they let themselves inside. Michael grabs for Marion, who screams, barely able to bat him away with the fire poker, and with Michael beaten back momentarily, Marion crashes through the glass of the window with her weapon, shattering it and leaning through the new opening and into the night air as she screams, In here, god damn it! But the cops are none the wiser, in search of her inside of her home, and Marion, having left herself vulnerable, is seized once again by Michael. He silences her scream, dragging his blade across her throat as the score shrieks around her and dropping her body to the ground to bleed out onto the living room floor.
No!
Yeah.
Very sad. But the cops next door finally exit her house, calling into dispatch and requesting detectives for a suspected burglary. But as they step out onto the porch, the second officer arcs his flashlight over to the neighboring home, discovering the broken window and calling his partner over to what he assumes is another B&E, joking that they've hit the daily double. But with their attention captured, a dark green vehicle sneaks from the driveway on the opposite side of the house, pulling out into the street, and as it passes us by, we see an unmistakable white mask covering the face of the driver as the vehicle speeds away. It's like my work is done.
Yeah.
Him quietly driving away into the night. And just Michael Myers driving in general will never not be funny to me.
But that next morning, under a downpour of rain, we find the two houses now swarmed with emergency vehicles, police cars, and crime scene personnel. Two detectives enter Marion's house, Fitzsimmons and Matt, played by Bo Billingsley and Matt Winston, respectively.
Bo Billingsley? He was in the Blob 88?
Hell yeah.
That's what it was.
That's right. He was also in Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children. He was the voice of Barrett from 05.
That's perfect.
He also did voice work for Horizon Forbidden West in 2022.
Very cool.
Damn.
Yeah.
So something interesting about this character is that this is the subplot that was completely cut out by Kevin Williamson.
Oh, okay.
In Zappia's previous screenplays, there was a whole detective element, and it was a much larger part of the film in this subplot.
Okay.
And depending on what source you look at, it was either a few days or a few weeks before it was completely cut from the film. But the actor that was supposed to play this character and had been cast until it was cut was Charles S. Dutton.
Oh my God.
What?
That would be funny because he pops up all the time.
He does. But as the detectives enter the living room, Matt inquires as to whose house this is. Fitzsimmons explains that it belongs to Marion Whittington, Dr. Loomis's nurse, adding that he was that shrink who died a few years ago and that he lived here with Marion, who took care of him. Matt immediately remembers having watched something on 60 Minutes with Loomis, noting that he spent his whole life tracking down that Halloween guy who butchered all those kids up in Haddonfield. Fitzsimmons concurs. Michael Myers. As they breeze past their colleagues in the living room and enter the hallway, Matt shines a smirk, hoping that Fitzsimmons isn't suggesting that Michael could have. But Fitzsimmons is quick to counter that Michael's body was never found. Matt knows this, but he reminds his partner that that was 20 years ago. The pair step into a room we haven't seen yet. Loomis's office. The walls covered in a collage of newspaper clippings, drawings, crime scene photos, and a map of the United States with pins stuck in at various locations. At the sight of this, Fitzsimmons can only state the obvious. Loomis was obsessed with Michael Myers. Matt snarks that it's quite a love fest as he peruses full pages from Haddonfield newspapers, boasting headlines like "Children Found Brutally Murdered on Halloween" and "Is Michael Myers Still Alive?" Interestingly, none of the ones about Tommy Doyle that were in Halloween 6. Todd Smells or whatever.
And how were there pins of him all over the U.S.? Where the fuck is Mike going that he's...
Why would he? That's
Mike,
a good point.
He loves the open road. Okay, we've learned this about him.
He learned how to drive?
Yes.
Never look back.
There's no stopping him.
But Fitzsimmons supposes that he should call Haddonfield PD to warn them as a precaution, considering tomorrow is Halloween. Matt seconds this sarcastically, suggesting that Fitzsimmons tell them to be on the lookout for someone with a cane and Alzheimer's. But as Fitzsimmons dials, he reminds Matt that Michael Myers would be younger than him even, noting that he was 15 when Michael killed his sister back in 1963.
I also feel like if he were an older man, he'd probably be up to it as well. I have it on good authority. He'd still be down.
But as he exits the office to make his phone call, Matt lingers behind a moment, surveying Loomis's life work, and before joining his partner, he scoffs. Michael Myers. Yeah, right. But thunder rumbles outside as he slams the door behind him, the camera panning across the contents of the room as the opening credits appear in white and the Halloween theme begins to play, accompanied by dramatic and ominous strings. The title appears in white, the subtitle framed in a glowing orange. Halloween H20, 20 years later. Before we press on, I do want to talk about the situation with the music in this film very quickly.
Okay.
The initial composer hired to score this film was a guy called John Ottman.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Miner enlisted him, telling him that he wanted something Hitchcockian. He cited Bernard Herrmann as inspiration for what he was looking for.
Okay.
Ottman was obviously stoked, and he got to work immediately. Unfortunately, during the process of the film being made, he kind of, according to the editor, Patrick Lussier, kept most of his compositions very close to the chest. And so when Lussier had been editing, he was using a lot of temp tracks until they could get their hands on the score.
Yeah.
So during the edit, he said that he was only given about 20 to 30 minutes of what Ottman was scoring and only a synthesizer version of it. So when the score was finally delivered, Lussier and Weinstein's were not a fan of it at all.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And so Lussier said on its face, it's good music, but not for Halloween.
Right.
The Weinsteins just flat out hated it.
Mm-hmm.
So what they said would be necessary is to completely rescore the film. The biggest problem was they had just moved the release date up. And so it gave Lussier only 5 days to get the score replaced.
Oh,
Fuck
wow.
off.
So he flies in Marco Beltrami, who's very famous for scoring Scream.
Mm-hmm.
And he writes, over the course of those 5 days, more music cues for the film. And considering they only had 5 days, he didn't get to rescore everything. And so they literally did lift music straight from Scream. And it's used in this film, which is another reason, like a lot of these chase sequences that we see later, they feel like something right out of Scream because they're literally scored with its score. And so the tragedy of it is the only full portion of Ottman's music that exists in this film is this opening title sequence.
Wow.
I like it.
I love it a lot. I feel like it really does some interesting things with John Carpenter's theme.
Yeah.
But this is the only thing that's there.
Yeah.
You just want the synth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, yeah.
I think this opening is very like dark and like foreboding. I liked it.
It's not bad, I'll be honest. It's not, and I know that Halloween isn't like my jam, but I do like the music.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it does feel Halloween, but I don't know if it was like menacing enough for me.
I think the thing that upsets me is the more menacing tracks that we love and remember from Halloween.
Yeah.
Were in Ottman's score, reworked in different places.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever we get to those sequences where it would fit and did fit, to me,
Yeah.
they replaced it with Scream music.
What the hell, man?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was very interesting because seeing these interviews back and forth between Ottman and Lussier, it's like, well, this was a very contentious thing that happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Because Lussier was like, it seemed as though he felt scoring Halloween was beneath him. And Ottman said they went with the easier way of scoring it, which to me is really just on its sleeve and a little hokey.
Ooh.
And so it's like, God damn.
When
So,
we,
you know.
Yeah.
when we research these movies and you find interviews and featurettes where they're like talking shit about each other, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, bitch, like it is crazy.
Get your popcorn.
Yes.
But it's very interesting, and I think that you can listen to Ottman's full score. And on those featurettes, they had like back-to-back showings of scenes with Beltrami's score and Ottman's.
Okay.
And so you can see what you liked more, or what would work better for you.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is just a shame that it just didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
But in Loomis's office, we're treated to various newspaper articles from 1963 and onward. Local boy, age 6, kills sister with a knife, complete with a photograph of Michael's clown mask that he wore during the murder. And as we hover above a pair of articles pinned to the map, child murderer sent to state hospital, and Dr. Sam Loomis, past obsession, we hear the voice of Dr. Loomis, provided by voice actor Tom Kane, reciting his iconic monologue from the first film. So I did see on that featurette, because it is very tragic that this is the first, outside of Halloween 3, of course, the first Halloween film without Donald Pleasance.
Yeah.
And they did want to use this monologue directly lifted from the first film. But if you recall, one of John Carpenter's compositions is playing in the background when he gives this speech to Sheriff Brackett. And I guess they were unable to isolate it.
Damn.
And so the only thing that they could think to do is Lissier was really good friends with voice actor Tom Kane.
Yeah.
And so he brought him in and asked him if he could do his best impression. And he, of course, jumped at the opportunity. But very interestingly, instead of playing clips of Donald Pleasance and just trying to get him to emulate him, they brought in Donald Pleasance's best friend.
Wow.
And they had him say a few of the lines, and he would look over at the friend, and he's like, not quite. And it took about 50 takes, and he's like, that sounded exactly like Donald.
Dude, it's good.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is, because even when I was younger, I never,
No.
And even now as an adult, I've said it when I was younger as if I had a more discerning ear. Then that's not Donald Pleasance. No. But as an adult listening to it now, there's like small things here and there, but you're like, this could very easily actually be Donald Pleasance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and even that, as a kid, if you've watched it enough, you know what to listen for.
True. Yeah.
So if it does fool you, it's like, well, I've watched, you know what I mean, this movie, I don't know how many times.
And I did.
And it's still, I thought that it was, I was like, oh shit, they got, isolated it, like you said, from the other movies. I was like, this is a really cool recap.
It sounds, it's remarkable.
Yeah. And it works so perfectly to have this monologue, to have at least this presence of Donald Pleasance.
Yes.
In a way.
And we got his picture earlier, too. So
Yeah.
it's like the best that they could do,
But Loomis recounts through voiceover. I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, even the most rudimentary sense of life and death, of good or evil, right or wrong. We fade into a photograph of Laurie Strode, covered in a blanket and carted away in a wheelchair after the explosion that rocked Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, cradled by Nurse Marion and shielded from reporters as a headline boasts, Laurie Strode, sole survivor of October mass murders. Loomis continues, I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes. The devil's eyes. We peer into a sketch of Michael Myers wearing his white mask, pressing in closer to the nothingness where his eyes and his soul should rest, as we cycle endlessly through the doctor's research, magazine clippings, interviews, which misspell Michael's name for some reason, gruesome photographs of his victims, and pins lining the map at the far wall. Loomis's voice returns. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked away, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. We rediscover the sketch, peering deeper into Michael's pale face, along with paperwork from the Warren County Sanitarium, before centering on an article entitled, Survivor of Halloween Murders Killed in Auto Accident. Laurie's smiling face is placed next to the text, recounting the gruesome crash that allegedly killed her. So this is interesting because it's kind of a holdover from Halloween 4, in a way.
The crash?
Yeah. And sidebar, it said she was driving 80 in a 45.
God damn, Laurie.
Yeah.
What are you doing? But we then glide past a photo of a pair of bloody scissors to find Laurie's high school yearbook photo circled in red marker before sinking deeper and deeper into the void of Michael's eyes, surrendering to its darkness as we cut to black.
I wonder if the bloody scissors were kind of an Easter egg too, or like a nod.
I was thinking that and there's something I'll explain a little bit later that was also cut out of the film, but that's Rachel from 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, are you
yeah.
trying to?
But also no.
Yeah.
None of that happened.
But when we return, we find ourselves gliding through the halls of a boarding school where white curtains billow from an ominous wind. A bell tolls as we push through a door at the end of the corridor to enter a classroom, surveying its emptiness and the clean slate of a green chalkboard on the wall. We finally settle on a desk at the front of the classroom, and on it, we discover a nameplate reading, Head Mistress Carrie Tate, resting next to a photograph of a young man who we will meet soon enough. We float like a phantom to the opposite wall, an ornate clock ticking its way to midnight, the date at its side switching over to October 31st as it does. But near to it, a closet door folds open, and as we peer inside, we return to a memory from 1978, Laurie Strode cowering in the corner on the floor, screaming as Michael Myers bashes his way through the barrier, reaching desperately for her. We pull back, retreating to the desk, where now a knife is stabbed sharply into the glass of the photograph, and written on the chalkboard behind us, in bold letters, is the name, Laurie Strode. We then rise above the bed of an awakening Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, who shrieks incessantly as she digs her fingers into her ruffled blankets and the pillow beneath her head.
I'm sorry. That was a premonition, bitch. Like, that was not a regular dream.
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot.
Too specific.
Yes.
And Jamie Lee Curtis, we talked about her before on the first Halloween, 78, and Halloween 2 in 81, and I believe The Fog.
Indeed.
That's
yes.
right.
And she was in that one movie where her and John Travolta were like hip thrusting at each other.
What was happening?
I don't know.
Great eye contact, though. It's all right.
Massive eye contact.
But John, her son, and the young man from the photo in her nightmare, played by Josh Hartnett, rushes into the room to calm her, shouting for her attention until her screams finally cease.
And again, it's Josh Hartnett.
Yeah.
You know, we did talk about him in 30 Days of Night from 07, but I mean, again, it's Josh Hartnett.
And the faculty.
Yeah, and the faculty. That's right.
So good.
Speaking of the faculty, okay? So Josh Hartnett was 19 at this point, and H2O is his first film.
Oh, wow.
But he had auditioned for the faculty. And they called his agent and said, look, we love him for this, but we think he'd also be great for something else. Does he want to come in and read with Jamie Lee Curtis for a Halloween film?
Yes.
Yeah, he did. So he said that they were filmed simultaneously. He was doing both at the same time, the faculty and H2O.
That's crazy.
That is.
What a fucking, like, catapulting onto the scene.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. And, I mean, we got to talk about his hair, right?
Yes.
So I saw an interview with him, and he, not only him, but other actors in the film said that he would constantly mess up his hair on purpose. He said that perfect looking teenagers on TV annoyed him because he was 19 and he'd just gotten out of high school, and he said everyone looked like shit. He said that that's not what real teens look like. So they would fix his hair, and he would always carry around this beanie. And after they would fix his hair, he would put the beanie on and fuck his hair up on purpose. And he even cut pieces of it himself. You can tell.
Yes.
But I think that it tracks with the hair that we also get at the faculty.
Yeah.
So
That
it's
is
like,
true.
you know, he had a statement to make, and it was very bold of him to do this on his first film and be like, no, I'm wanting to hit a certain level of realism. And everybody remembers his hair.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
It was funny because on commentary, Jamie Lee Curtis was talking about that exact story and she was saying that it was part of his thing of kind of wanting to be an actor but not wanting to be a star. And she said so he would put this beanie on his head and kind of like seclude himself, and then he would take it off and he would do a scene and then he'd put it back on. She's like, I respected it a lot, but it was very annoying. I was like, what? I think his reasoning is much better.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's not exactly what he said.
But it's close. But John holds his mother's hand, promising that she's okay as she finally returns to herself, catching her breath and slick with sweat. She sighs in answer to her concerned son when he asks if she needs something, and he leaves his mother's side to enter the bathroom, opening a medicine cabinet stacked with prescription bottles, finding the proper pills to help Lori with her nightmares. Once he retrieves it, he shakes a couple of tablets into his palm, shutting the cabinet and lingering for a moment at his own reflection before returning to his mother. Something I don't know if it's true or not because I've only got one source from it and I don't have the opposing view of any kind.
Okay.
So Jamie Lee Curtis had said that the producers told her that nobody would be interested in a lead character that was flawed and going through something.
What?
Which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it also makes a lot of sense to me because producers say stupid shit all the time.
Yeah.
And so she was basically telling them that's the whole point of this film, is how Lori deals with this traumatic event that shaped her entire life.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to put it. I don't understand how anyone could look at that and say, well, that's not interesting.
Right.
Or nobody would want to root for. That's what it was. Nobody would want to root for.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like, are you out of your mind? Of course we would.
We've been with her on this ride.
Yes.
We're watching. We know. I think it would be a little weird to have a character that doesn't have any kind of like, you can't phase them or there's no emotions. Like, oh, you remember when my brother tried to cut my fucking head off? That was wild.
Anyway.
Will you want some tea? You know, it just, that's like a Bond villain or some shit. That's not what we're doing here. Again, we've been with Lori through this ride. Yeah, that was crazy shit. That would fuck anybody up. So yeah, of course she's gonna have nightmares and she's whatever. That's relatable.
That's the whole point. How a flawed character is relatable.
Yeah.
Yes.
People have gone through so much in their own lives that you can kind of cast onto the characters on screen.
Right.
And so it was just a very odd thing. And it's like, I can absolutely hear like the fucking Weinstein saying that.
Right.
Yeah.
Or something. But it works so perfectly for the film and is literally the heart of it. But later that morning, we glide down from sprawling greenery bathed in sunshine to reach the front gate of Hillcrest Academy High School, white text appearing on screen to reveal that we are now in Summer Glen, California. But the score grows foreboding when this text gives way to another revelation. It is October 31st, Halloween.
Uh-oh.
But leaves rustle across the driveway of Lori's home, which rests on school grounds, and we return inside, Lori cycling through the morning mail and declining John's offer of toast for breakfast when he calls out from the kitchen. So something that I thought was really, really incredible work as far as the sets and on-location work and everything, that gate that we just saw is its own isolated little location that I think they built in Malibu. And then the school itself is real on location for the exteriors. A lot of the interiors were sets that were built at Universal. This house, the interiors were a set. Like, they use this location, but it feels so connected.
Yeah.
But it is not at all.
That's crazy.
It is very cohesive.
Yeah.
But as John takes a sip of his coffee, Lori reminds him that caffeine isn't a food group, with John alerting his mother that they're out of Percodan. Breezing past this, Lori hands her son an envelope from the mail, telling him that it's from his father. John opens it up as Lori pours herself a cup of coffee, revealing that it's a birthday card. I will say there's a big gold and bold 17 at the center of this thing. It is very important later.
Yes.
And something else they talked about on commentary is they gave no thought at all as to who John's father could be.
I was
Okay.
curious.
Yeah, they said it's not related to anything that we have seen in the franchise before.
Yeah.
It is just something that happened, and this is what's going on now.
Okay.
But Lori admits that she's impressed to see the card. It's only 2 months late. Snatching the money from inside and stashing it into his pocket, John acknowledges that cash is good, considering that he'll need it when he goes to Yosemite. Lori snags the milk from the fridge, answering concretely that John isn't going. But John, however, insists that he is. Lori immediately contradicts this, but John is confident that he will be going, and with his mother's full blessing. He explains that he can feel it. He knows that today is the day that she's going to realize that he is 17 years old, and her overprotection and paranoia is inhibiting his growth process.
Damn.
Yeah. But if this 20 years have passed, he only knows what his mom's telling him, and he's never experienced anything that she has.
Right.
So to him, he's like, okay, I'm all right. I can go party. She's like, no, I don't think so. But again, she has a reason to be that way.
Absolutely.
Especially today.
Yeah.
Lori softens, assuring John that if he wants to go camping, she'll take him camping. But chomping a spoonful of cereal, John grimaces. I don't want to go with you.
That's so brutally honest in a way that only a teen can be.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, it's like, no, totally, I get it. Like, it's different hanging out with your friends and camping and then going camping with your fucking mom. And on the other hand, it's like, no, it's okay. Wiping tears away. Yeah, no, I know.
Lori apologizes, but John can't help but comment that his dad would let him go. Lori retorts that his dad is an abusive, chain-smoking methadone addict. And John wounds Lori when he wonders, who could attract someone like that? Adding, and to think, he left you.
Okay, now, the teen thing, I can only give you so many passes
And
on.
you're definitely not going to
Yeah,
Yosemite.
no, fuck
You're not
all
going
that.
anywhere.
No. But this is the limit for Lori, who turns to face her son. She acknowledges that John gets his smart mouth from her side of the family, but she warns that he's going too far. John counters instead that he's going to Yosemite. I was like, very good.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I don't know anyone in the Strode family that had a smart mouth, including Lori, but we'll let it slide.
We don't know them, but I get it. It's like
Yeah.
you're stubborn because of me.
But come on.
Yes,
Yeah.
but stop it.
But when Lori doesn't budge, John laments that he's earned it. When his only response is silence, he takes a step closer to his mother, well aware that today is the day. When Lori asks what day that is, John answers simply, Halloween. A low note emanates within the score as Lori feigns ignorance to this fact, but John offers a word of comfort, telling his mother that they're through with all of that now. They really are. This was something I appreciated, is that she told him.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
No.
I thought it would be like, as the film goes on, he's like, oh, this is why you're... No, she's like, look, dude, this happened to me. I'm afraid that it'll happen again or something similar. That's why I am the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
I think in previous drafts, it was exactly that.
That's what I was expecting.
Okay.
And that's kind of cliche and a little annoying,
Yeah.
but this is, I think that they're dynamic.
Yes.
But later at school, John joins Charlie, his best friend, played by Adam Han Bird, and Sarah, Charlie's girlfriend, played by Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, on their walk to school.
Adam Hanbird, he was in Jumanji in 95 and The Ice Storm in 97. And Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, she was in She's All That in 99,
Nice.
35 episodes of Prison Break, and 21 episodes of The Vampire Diaries.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Something funny that they said in one of those featurettes, Chris Duran said that he had worked with Jodie Lynn O'Keefe prior to this.
Mm-hmm.
He always kept his mask on around her when they were filming. And so it wasn't until the last day that they were on set together that he took his mask off and showed her that it was him. And she said she laughed and laughed. But I was like, that's pretty funny. But So Adam Handbird, right? He said that when he signed on and they started filming, his character was supposed to be a copycat killer of Michael Myers.
Huh.
So he's running around murdering people during the film. And then at the end, maybe somebody didn't appreciate being copycatted.
That has to be a holdover from Two Faces of Evil. And they're just these drafts that keep coming. Things are changing. Things are getting switched out.
It's just wild. He said that about 3 weeks later, after he got the part, they called and they're like, oh, so we're not doing that anymore. You're the goofy best friend now. Do you still want to do it? And he was like, well, yeah.
But Charlie reads John for filth, commenting that John is becoming an Oedipal enabler, noting that he wouldn't be surprised if John was still living with his mother 20 years from now, running some weird motel out in the middle of nowhere.
Relax. He's 17.
Shut up, Brad.
Yeah. But also, I'm like, oh my God, Psycho reference.
Yes.
Cute.
There's...
Yeah. More space dust on here.
But Sarah steps between them, sorry to hear that this will mean no Yosemite trip for John, but she wonders how she can get out of going too. Charlie doesn't understand, but Sarah reveals that it's so lame there, amending that to say that it's even worse. She says that she went there 2 summers ago with her family, and it's loathsome. But that word doesn't sit right either. But Sarah assures both boys that the right word will come to her eventually. Wretched? No, it's not right. She's cracking me up this whole film.
Yeah.
I like her a lot.
I love her fashions too.
Yeah. But as they climb a set of stairs, we find Laurie watching them from an adjacent window, and accompanied by ominous piano chords in the score, we spy Michael Myers creeping closer behind her in the reflection of the glass. And I believe this is the third mask. But Laurie closes her eyes, seemingly repeating a silent mantra to herself as the shape suddenly evaporates, Laurie opening her eyes and stepping away from the window. And I heard on commentary that because this is something that happens a few times, this was all the idea of Kevin Williamson, because he was saying kind of the fact that they aren't really on screen together until way later.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so having this kind of like a specter hanging over the whole film until then, it works. And I think that it was a good idea.
Yeah.
But in the courtyard, Sarah finally finds the word. Repugnant. She reveals that she would rather have her eyes pierced than go to Yosemite. But across the way, through the crowd of students, John notices Molly, his girlfriend, played by Michelle Williams, having a short and disappointing conversation with the bursar, played by Steve Miner in a cameo role.
Michelle Williams, we did talk about her on Shutter Island.
Yes.
I can only imagine her working with Kevin Williamson and Steve Miner on Dawson's Creek.
Right.
Concurrently.
Yeah.
Probably led to.
You would think.
But when the bursar departs, John slinks over to the dismayed Molly, hugging her from behind and asking her what's wrong. As John buries kisses into her blonde hair, Molly shares that it's her dad. He flaked on her financial aid again. She says the bursar is being a dick about it, and now she can't go to Yosemite. The pair are then joined by Charlie and Sarah, who, upon learning that Molly won't be going on the trip either, declares that she'll be skipping it too. Charlie wonders how Sarah is going to get out of going, but then he realizes if the 4 of them ditch Yosemite, it means they could have a Halloween party, just them, with the entire campus to themselves. Seizing Sarah in a dip, he suggests that they could have a roaming orgy. As he pulls her away, Sarah seems very into the idea, gushing that she loves the way Charlie thinks. As they disappear into the crowd, Charlie comments that he hopes that that's not the only thing she loves about him. But John offers Molly a sweet kiss before reaching for her hand to join their friends.
I get that it's the weekend and probably at the end of the day on Friday everybody's going to leave. But there's got to be somebody making the rounds to make sure everything's closed and locked. Are we not worried about that? Like, it's like, no, we'll just go around them.
Well, it's going to be a skeleton staff. We can figure it out. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like, but this is kind of like wish fulfillment as a teenager. You're like, we got the whole school to ourselves,
Of course.
you know? But we suddenly cut to somewhere in Northern California on Highway 139, where an old International Harvester travelall signals for the next exit to turn into a rest area. I wanted to look up what this car was because it looks terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it's much more Michael Speed than that fucking muscle car that he was.
Yeah.
But once the vehicle parks, out climbs Claudia and her daughter Casey, played by Larissa Miller and Emily Thompson, respectively. Claudia says that she told her daughter she could make it, joking that when she was a little girl, she used to just pee in the woods. But as she takes her daughter by the hand and guides her across a small field and over to the restrooms, we pan from their vehicle to another parked nearby, the car that Michael absconded with, only now it sits abandoned with a flat front tire.
See, first of all, why did y'all park so far from the restrooms?
That's a good question.
Especially with a kid that has to pee. You got to park inside the restroom.
Right. Well, hold on though. What? How was he driving that he got a fucking flat tire? What was he doing?
I don't know.
He's flirting with disaster.
He's usually a very careful driver.
Yeah,
That's true. Looking both ways.
turn signal and all.
Yes.
What's funny to me as well is he cares enough about the rim. He's like, I can't.
Yeah, he's got to pull over.
But when Claudia and Casey reach the women's restroom, they find that the door is locked, leading them over to the men's restroom against Casey's protests. After glancing backward and discovering the other vehicle parked near to theirs, Claudia insists that the boys will just have to deal with it before opening the door. She calls out to anyone inside, peering past the urinals, sinks, and over to the stalls, and once she doesn't receive a response, she assures Casey that the coast is clear. But when she goes to switch on the light, finding that the bulb has burned out, she drags a nearby stone in front of the door to prop it open and let the sunlight in. She leads Casey into the dingy restroom and into the first graffiti-scrawled stall before sitting down in the one next to her to use the toilet as well. I don't have children, but we would not be in two separate stalls, right?
Absolutely not. That's my note. Okay, the car parked outside.
Yeah.
There's a random car outside.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the state of this place, you're learning how to pee in the grass today.
True.
And we're doing it further up the road. Everything in my gut is like, and I know obviously I'm watching a horror movie and I know that Michael Myers is about, but like, if this were me, there's no fucking way that we're stopping here. There's no way. And if, I fell and hit my head and decided to, we're not in separate stalls.
Yeah, I'll stand in the front of the stall. You go ahead and use the bathroom, and then you can stand with your back face the door.
Yeah.
So I can pee, and then
she's
we can go.
She's still so little.
Yeah.
She's so little.
I'll use the bathroom here, but it's not. I don't want to.
I'm not using the bathroom.
Yeah, I gotta go.
And I'm not taking my kid. I want to know who owns that car. Where are they?
Well, in the woman's bathroom, it's locked. They had to go.
They
poop.
took the whole bathroom.
Oh yeah, they had
I'm
to go.
fucking this
Well, it's
whole
probably
place
cleaner
up.
in there than it is in the boys' bathroom.
Probably.
I just don't like any of this. And you can infer, it's a flat tire. Maybe somebody came and picked them up. Whatever.
Right.
I don't know. I would not be comfortable with any of this.
No, it looks sketchy.
When we stop at gas stations when we're on road trips, I'm like, let me take a look at who's working here. What does this clientele look like?
Do I feel welcome?
Do I feel welcome here? I get very fucking paranoid. So this, absolutely fucking not. We're peeing in the grass. That's it.
That is just what it is.
Yeah.
And Claudia locks her door too.
Yeah.
She's like, God damn, Mom.
Let's put as many obstructions between us as possible.
But Casey calms herself by humming Mary Had a Little Lamb as her mother reaches into her purse to retrieve some tissues for her when she sees that there isn't any hanging on the rolls. But suddenly, we hear something scraping across the concrete outside, followed by a loud slam soon after. This startles Casey, but Claudia assures her that it's okay and that it was just the door. I understand trying to keep your kid calm or whatever. You put a big ass stone.
Yeah.
No, something moved that.
That wasn't the wind.
No.
It's also Halloween, which I don't know if that means anything.
And you're right. I understand, like, let's keep it together. But it's like, are you done being great? I'm internally freaking the fuck out. This woman is just so unbothered.
Yeah.
But when Claudia finds the tissues, she sets her purse down on the dirty bathroom floor and offers them to Casey beneath the stall wall.
See, another thing. I just can't relate to this woman at all.
It's like everything you
Pick
do.
your
Yeah, that
fucking
was
purse
wild.
up, dude.
Casey doesn't reach for them immediately, prompting Claudia to call out to her daughter until her small hand finally grasps the tissues and she continues humming. Claudia breathes a sigh of relief, but glances around her unseemly surroundings, seemingly unsettled. But out of nowhere, a hand reaches down to the bottom of the stall, snatching Claudia's purse and taking it over to the sink. She breathes a sharp but silent gasp, nervously pressing her eye to the crack in the door to spy the assailant. We hear the contents of Claudia's purse rattling for a moment, and then, through the small sliver of light, we watch as Michael Myers passes us by, his white mask a blur, until he stops for a moment to peer into the mirror and back at Claudia in her stall. Attempting to keep her cool, Claudia rises from her seat, reaching her hand to slowly turn the lock on the door. Suspenseful strings rise in the score, and her daughter suddenly screams, forcing Claudia to tear the stall door open, racing to Casey, where she finds her, running her frantic fingers through her hair as she cries fearfully, "Spiders!" Claudia catches her breath, an alleviated smile creeping across her face. But we hear an engine revving loudly outside. It's like, yeah, your fucking car's being stolen right now. And she's like, ooh, everything's pizza.
But you know what?
It is a relief.
It is. I at least like that this Mike has manners.
He does.
I just needed the keys. I don't like that he threw her shit all over the floor, but
Yeah.
he found the keys. He left them alone. Look, you guys just needed to use the bathroom.
It was very polite of him.
Yeah.
I agree. Because we do return to the field outside. We see the contents of her purse strewn across the grass and Michael peeling out of the small path in her vehicle, riding his course and continuing down the highway.
Safely.
Safely.
Yeah.
Turn signal.
Yeah.
I did read that this scene was added much later into production.
Okay.
I think this is one of the contributions from Matt Greenberg.
Yeah.
And I think it was to kind of connect the fact, again, that we have not seen Michael in a while.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for this scene, we won't see Michael for quite a while.
True.
Oh, that's true.
So it's kind of having this threat return momentarily to keep that pacing proper.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't forget, he's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on his way. This did remind me of something that we get in Halloween 2018, though.
For sure.
But things didn't turn out as well.
Yeah.
No. For the trilogy either. But back at Hillcrest Academy, Lori stands at a podium in a small auditorium, addressing the gathered student body who line rows of seating in front of her. In the light of a stained glass window, Lori announces to the group that they all know why they're here, sharing that the buses to Yosemite leave the campus at 4:15 sharp. This inspires the crowd to cheer loudly with excited applause, but they're soon interrupted by Lori, who claims that now it's time to give her obligatory plea that they'll uphold the standards of Hillcrest. She explains that this means no musical sleeping bags, no booze, no drugs, no kidding. Each line inspires a groan from her audience, some of them probably wondering what a musical sleeping bag is. I had to look it up. Apparently, it's a game you play at a sleepover. It's like musical chairs, but a sleeping bag.
Oh, that's not how I took it
no.
at all.
Yeah.
She's like, don't be getting down.
Don't be fucking
that-
out there.
yeah,
That's what I thought.
But as Lori notes that undoubtedly someone will ruin it for the rest of them, Charlie enters the auditorium rather late to join his friends seated in one of the front rows. Before taking his seat, he passes by Will Brennan, a guidance counselor played by Adam Arkin, who eyes him suspiciously as he walks by.
Adam Arkin, he was in 11 episodes of Sons of Anarchy. He was in Hitch in 2005 and in Lake Placid in 99.
You and Lake Placid.
I swear.
It's good, man.
I haven't seen it. I don't think I've seen it, actually.
I remember watching that in the movie theater.
Damn.
Yeah.
You really wanted to see it.
Yes.
I am realizing that that's where he was so recognizable to me from was Sons of Anarchy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I did want to say it's funny that you do mention Lake Placid because I didn't know, but that's also directed by Steve Miner.
Oh, so I'm sure it's
Yeah.
amazing.
But I guess they had wanted to make Lake Placid first, but whenever it was time to do it, he said that the weather was wrong
Oh.
because it had to be a certain, of course.
Right.
And so that was the only reason that he was able to do this and bring his cinematographer for Lake Placid along with him.
Okay.
There's a guy called Darren Okada, and I think that he does great work here,
Yeah.
especially when he's doing like Dean Cundy-ish things.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to mention that. But Charlie holds a red folder in his hand, imploring his friends to guess what it is. And when there aren't any takers, he reveals that it's his history paper. He forgot to hand it in, so it looks like he won't be going to Yosemite either. With a mischievous smile, he feigns that he's so bummed. Sarah responds in kind, placing the back of her hand to her forehead and asking Charlie to guess who has a fever of 102 and has to stay in bed all day long. Charlie chortles excitedly, asking if John and Molly will be joining them too, and John leans over, whispering to learn what their plan is. Sarah offers it: romantic dinner, candlelight, soft music, only for Charlie to butt in: animal sex. I really hope he means animalistic sex.
Yeah.
John's like, count us out.
Please.
But Molly smiles that Charlie needs hormone suppressant, and Sarah offers a playful scold that Charlie is embarrassing the newlyweds. But Laurie's speech finally draws to a close, the headmistress instructing her students to have a good time, which the teens accept with jovial applause. But afterward, we follow Laurie through the halls like something out of the West Wing, where she meets up with a puzzled Will, who inquires, "And why exactly won't you be going camping, Miss Tate?" Laurie answers sarcastically that she isn't going because it sounds like fun, wondering what Will's excuse is, learning that guidance counselors aren't exactly a hit in the wilderness. He adds that someone has to stay behind to watch over the 3 or 4 outcasts who are sticking around. But as they enter her office, Laurie is greeted by Norma, her sweet secretary, played by Janet Leigh, who tells her that her mail and messages are on her desk, along with the new quarter budget. But she also shares some bad news. Surprise, surprise, the drains in the girls' shower room are clogged again. That's amazing.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
And Janet Leigh.
Yeah.
We talked about her in Psycho 60. Also, she was in The Manchurian Candidate in 62 and then The Fog as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so cute. Obviously, mother and daughter.
Yeah.
All the cheeky little references to Psycho, which do continue.
Oh, yeah.
It's just I'm eating it up with the spoon. I love everything about it.
I remember whenever we watched this as kids, like this was one of Mom's favorite aspects about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't grasp how cool it was until I rewatched it as an adult.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite elements of the film, really.
Mm-hmm.
She's so mean to her, though.
She is.
Yes.
It's
Well,
pretty fucked up. But Norma continues, assuring that she already called the plumber and promises that it'll be taken care of. But as she goes on and on, Will whisks Laurie away from her secretary and into her office, Laurie barely able to thank Norma before she pulls the door closed.
Norma.
Yeah.
I didn't even fucking clock that.
But now, finally all alone, Will can hardly control himself, leaning in for a passionate kiss, which Laurie returns hungrily before coming to her senses, reminding Will that this is their place of employment. She keeps him at arm's length as he apologizes that he just needed his fix. This prompts Laurie to plant a kiss on his lips, and as he traces her neck with his affections, he gushes that she is, without a doubt, the most amazing and challenging woman he's ever met. But upon sensing her tensing up, he ceases his smooching and asks her what's wrong now. Laurie just pleads with him to stop with the Carrie analysis, just this once. She states that he can do it tomorrow as much as he wants, but she just asks for today off. Will grants her wish, Laurie thanking him with a smile, and after confirming their lunch date at 1 o'clock and fixing his tie at Laurie's direction, Will exits her office. We see Norma standing behind her desk at the far wall, a somewhat suspicious look in her eyes as she stares at the departing Will.
She knows.
Oh, yeah.
She knows.
Absolutely.
But back in her office, Laurie sinks into her chair, sifting through the mail that rests on her desk. But she suddenly stops, a thought seeming to find her as she glances over at a framed picture of John on her desk. But through the front gates of Hillcrest Academy, we find the guard shack just inside of the grounds. And there, Ronnie, the security guard, played by LL Cool J, stands on the telephone, reading a passage breathily from a notebook clutched in his hand.
LL Cool J.
Right.
We talked about him in Deep Blue Sea.
We sure did.
And if I didn't mention it last time, I will this time. He was also in 323 episodes of NCIS Los Angeles.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
And I've also heard his hat is like a Sharks fan.
Most importantly,
Yes.
in that featurette, Josh Hartnett said that he could not even speak when he met LL Cool J because his was the first CD that he ever bought. He was a massive fan. And so he said that he is gushing to him and being like, I just really I sincerely love your work so much. Like, I'm such a huge fan, blah, blah, blah. And then he said that after that, LL Cool J would he loosened up and he would poke fun at Josh Hartnett, in between takes or while they were, they would kind of riff back and forth. And he said it kind of broke the ice between them, but that he was so starstruck when he saw him, he couldn't even talk to him.
That's pretty cool.
And it's
really cool.
cute because he even their dynamic in the film is very cute.
Yeah.
And being Josh Hartnett at 19 years old, meeting your fucking favorite,
Yeah.
that I can't imagine how cool that would have been for him.
Dude, everything's coming up Millhouse right now.
Yes. 2 fucking movies.
Yeah.
Halloween franchise, Robert Rodriguez. It's just I love that for him.
But Ronnie reads, he turned just in time to see her enter the room with her long, slender legs that climbed up her skirt, leading to 2 tumultuous, round melon breasts. Cheryl, Ronnie's wife on the other end of the phone, played by Lisa Gay Hamilton, responds incredulously, "Round melon what?"
Yeah, she's right. Yeah, he had it until then.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Lisa Gay Hamilton. She does have a credit in Jackie Brown from 97.
Sure does.
The Sum of All Fears from 02. True Crime in 99. And The Boogeyman from 2023.
Damn.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You had me at Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
That's really all you had to say.
I have to say, their dynamic, even though we never see her in the film, is so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But Cheryl wonders why he would want to label it like food, pondering what kind of melon he's even talking about. Cantaloupe? Watermelon? What? Ronnie defends his writing, reminding his wife that it's fiction. He says that people like to read descriptive adjectives, explaining that it sets the scene. Cheryl just responds that it's stupid, is what it is.
He's trying to live his dream.
He's doing his best.
He's trying.
He's doing his round melon best.
Yes.
That's all any of us can do, okay?
But Ronnie counters that it's sensual and romantic. But Cheryl refutes this, saying that it's unrealistic, before decrying his entire idea of a writing career as unrealistic.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
She adds that they're married now and that it's time to get serious. Ronnie stands firm. This is serious. And Cheryl understands, but she laments the fact that his writing career just hasn't taken off yet, stating to her husband that she wants to have a baby before she's too old and can't get her butt back.
I understand. No, he's still working a day job.
Yeah.
He is, and
Like,
Yes.
I mean, let him write.
Yeah.
Ronnie demands for her to just give him a chance to express himself creatively, remarking, "We're still paying the bills, aren't we?" But through the open door reaches a hand to tap Ronnie on the shoulder, scaring the absolute hell out of him. His frightened expletive startles Cheryl, but when he turns around, he sees that it's only John and Charlie. Ronnie returns to his wife, asking her to give him a second before scolding John for scaring him. The young man apologizes before immediately asking the security guard for a favor. But before he can get it out, Ronnie states certainly that he is not letting John off campus. John begs Ronnie, claiming that it's just for lunch, but Ronnie confides that his mother told him the next time he let John out, he was going to get fired. This prompts the truth from John. He has a date with Molly tonight, and he wants to make it special. Putting the ball in Ronnie's court, the security guard immediately shakes his head, no. But John persists, promising that he'll be back for afternoon classes and that he just wants to get Molly a gift. He pleads with Ronnie to have a heart. And after mulling it over for a moment, Ronnie responds, "No, can't do it." So John proposes a counteroffer. What if Ronnie accidentally presses the button to the gate, and while he has his back turned, they sneak out? Cheryl chimes in through the telephone speaker, "Ronnie, don't you get your ass fired." But before she can continue, Ronnie silences her by pressing the receiver to his shirt. Exhaling a deep sigh, Ronnie caves, imploring John and Charlie not to do him wrong.
That's funny because she's right.
She is right.
But I mean, I don't know. I would have the soft spot too. It's like, damn, you kids are really trying to go have fun. And I remember being young, but then again, your mom's going to fire my ass.
It's that.
Not
it's
worth
that.
it.
No.
And, I heard this kid sell scat out of his car. Like, I don't know if we should be risking it for him.
And the other kid was trapped in a board game or something?
They seem like bad news.
But John beams a bright smile, assuring Ronnie that he won't. And after the security guard presses the button, he turns his back to the gate. It yawns open for John and Charlie, who race off campus, Ronnie returning to his phone call and begging Cheryl to just allow him one more book, and then he promises he'll go to work for her father. But in town, Lori's maroon SUV pulls into a parking space. She climbs out of the car, snagging her belongings and walking down the sidewalk, past various storefronts decorated for Halloween. She's unable to ignore a group of jubilant children across the street in their costumes, but she's immediately jump-scared when somehow the same group of children come racing out of the store right next to her. I'd be scared too. Like, how the fuck did they do that? But Lori collects herself, the score growing brighter as she stops at the window of a jewelry store. As she peeks inside, we see in the reflection of the glass that out from behind a bush suddenly steps the Shape. I thought it was very cool. A callback to the original.
Yeah.
But Lori just about jumps out of her skin, and when she finally turns around, she sees that it's only Will standing there. Now, this is the beginning of something that I think all three of us were like thinking. I don't know exactly what the story would have even been.
Right.
But this exact thing, I think, happens at least 3 times.
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
I literally have later on, if this were a Scream movie, your ghost face. Like, look no further.
It's there. It's there.
Will apologizes for scaring her, certain that she saw him. But the pair share a kiss as calm returns to Lori. So there is something that Jamie Lee Curtis mentioned on commentary.
Okay.
And it was supposed to, or at least she wanted it to take place during this scene. She would get out of her car and walking over to the sidewalk, she would pass Canadian comedian and SNL alum Mike Myers. And they would share a look and then pass each other and keep going. Now,
No.
I wanted to know what you guys thought about that.
No. I don't think this is that kind of movie.
I was going to...
You're speechless.
I don't know what to say. It's honestly giving Scream 3 a little bit.
Oh my
True.
God.
That's fair.
I mean, I get why it's funny, but it would have taken me right the fuck out of
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was really funny because
it. How did you introduce him?
I wanted to give him his proper credit. But she sounded kind of annoyed on commentary because apparently it was Mike Myers who said no. And she was like, and yeah, he had his reasons. And I'm like, probably because it's stupid.
He knew. He's like,
I'm not at all.
That's wild. He was like, I'm not doing that.
No.
But the couple reconvenes in the corner table of a restaurant, Lori peering pensively out of the window as she nervously fiddles with the stem of her glass of white wine. Will sits across from her, taking a sip of his coffee before asking concerned if she wants to talk about it. Lori laments with honesty that she thinks she's losing John. She thinks he's finally tired of her bullshit. She sighs sharply with regret before turning to Will, wondering if he, too, is tired of her bullshit. Will counters that he's a counselor. He's attracted to it. Which I was like, he's smooth. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Lori implores him to counsel her then. But Will refuses to take the bait, assuring her that he loves her just the way she is. Lori slides her wine glass aside, leaning closer to Will and asking if he thinks it's possible that something so tragic can happen to somebody that they never recover from it. Will, however, chooses to believe that recovery is always possible. A twinge of pain registers in Lori's eyes as she closes them, barely able to reveal to Will that there's a little backstory that she hasn't been completely successful with. Will understands, stating that he knows, and Lori confesses that she's tried everything: 12 steps, self-help, group therapy, shrinks, meditation, everything. And Will listens intently as tears fill her eyes. But downing the rest of his coffee, he responds that that isn't everything. Lori wipes her tears, wondering what else there could be, and Will reveals, I'm a really good listener. Lori can't help but smile, answering his offer, maybe, some night by a warm fire.
Well, I'd be like, I'd feel the same way. She's like, I've done everything. I've talked to everyone that fucking matters. You know? I'm like, hi.
Chop a liver over here?
Yeah.
Will appears grateful for this future opportunity, but he then excuses himself to, I assume, the restroom because we don't see him again.
For a little bit.
Yeah. But alone at the table now, Lori beckons over a waiter, played by David Blanchard. She asks for another glass of Chardonnay, and when the waiter looks down at her full glass in confusion, Lori reiterates, today. The server snaps to it, disappearing from the table as Lori lifts her glass to her lips, guzzling over half its contents in a gulp. But when a pair of teenagers stumble into the window, one dressed as the Grim Reaper wielding his scythe, and the other, his victim, leaving a smear of blood against the glass, Lori drinks even more, finishing her drink just as the waiter returns with another.
Now, it's my business how much I drink. I'm paying for these.
Right.
But at the same time, maybe, Lori, let's not go so heavy. When Mike shows up, we're going to have to be in fighting shape.
Yeah,
So,
you need to be alert.
Yeah.
This is just very sad.
Yeah.
And also, you owe that server an apology because that was really rude.
Was.
When he leaves the glass, she is much kinder the second time, thanking him, but she probably stiffed him.
She probably did, and she still owes him an apology.
She does. That's not how you treat people.
No.
Even if you're Laurie Strode. But elsewhere in town, John leans against a lamppost, whistling as he waits for Charlie outside of a liquor store. His friend exits, brandishing a stolen bottle of wine and hiding it within his suit jacket as he crosses his arms to rejoin John. John can't believe they're actually doing this, but Charlie just attributes it to desperate measures. When John calls it illegal, Charlie counters that it's harmless and expected. He states that studies have proven that all teenagers, at some point in their adolescent lives, have shoplifted. When John wonders what studies, Charlie changes topics. He insists, though, that this all could have been avoided if John would have just stolen some booze from his mom. As the pair continue down the sidewalk, John shares that his mother is a functioning alcoholic, and she accounts for every single... But the pair are then interrupted by someone calling out to John from the street. It's Lori.
Oh, wow.
Dude, do you have no periphery?
No, yeah, no.
My mom's a fucking John. Dude, I would have thrown up.
Now I'm having a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yes.
Charlie stands pale and fearful as the headmistress crosses over to them, asking John what they're doing out here. John claims that they just came for a little off-campus lunch, but his mother reminds him that he's not allowed to have little off-campus lunches. She says that he and Charlie both know this, with Charlie offering Miss Tate a sheepish apology. Lori just scoffs, offering to give the boys a lift back to campus, but as they begin to walk together to her SUV, she decides, you know what? And hands Charlie the keys, telling him to go ahead and that she and John will be right there. It's like, oh, he's dead. With Charlie just a few feet away now, Lori immediately turns to her son, fuming. What the fuck do you think you're doing?
I feel like Charlie definitely heard that.
Oh, no, yeah.
John bristles at her use of the word fuck, saying that it makes him uncomfortable, and Lori counters, well then don't put me in the position, John. Much more uncomfortable now.
Yeah, maybe poor choice of words, turns of phrases.
But she asks John if he knows what day it is, even though they already discussed it earlier, remarking, of all the days for you to pull this shit. She asks what he thinks he can do, just wander around town? She states that she doesn't ask him for much, and the least he can do is give her 1 day. But John argues that he's given her 17 years. Lori pleads with John to just be responsible, demanding to know if he even understands what that word means. But incensed, John shouts with resentment that he is not responsible for her. Lori shifts nervously as passersby seem to take notice of their conversation, but John has reached his limit, announcing, "That's it. I can't take it, Mom. He's dead. Michael Myers is dead." Having gained his mother's full attention, Lori asks what he wants her to say, and John simply states that he wants her to say that it's over, that they can try to get on with some attempt at a happy existence. He confesses that all the shit that's inside her head is starting to leak out on him, and he can't take it anymore. As Lori stands despondent, John reminds his mother that she told him herself that she watched him burn. Lori clarifies that she didn't stay to see his ashes.
Mom.
But John persists. 20 years. 20 years. Don't you think he would have shown up by now? He asks Lori what Michael is waiting for if he's still alive. When she can't answer him, John just storms past her and towards the SUV, lamenting that he can't live like this. Lori asks him what he means by that, and John answers coldly that if she wants to stay handcuffed to her dead brother, that's fine, but she's not dragging him along. Not anymore.
This is genuinely so sad.
Yeah.
Because you see where they're both coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And on its face, this should be a wake-up call to Lori, but we know that she's 100% right, and we all should be on alert and very afraid tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And also, they're still brother and sister.
Yeah, that's a thing that's happening here.
Yeah, it is. Just get past it.
Yeah, just get past it.
I never really cared for it, but I understand that that's really the only way that this film can work.
Right.
Because otherwise it's like, why the fuck, you know?
Yeah, why are you
like,
so
why would he?
obsessed with
Yeah. Mariah Carey.
And I did want to say, if you didn't know already, this scene has Kevin Williamson written all over it.
Dude, the words leaking, existence. I'm like, this was lifted from fucking Scream. That's what I'm like, dude, you can feel him.
Yeah.
Like, it's very funny. But also, I'm like, Lori should not be driving anyone anywhere.
No, that's true too.
Yeah, that's right.
She's like, get in the car. It's like, dude, you shouldn't be getting in the car.
No.
But after a moment, Laurie joins the two boys in the car, turning the key in the ignition. Mr. Sandman by the Chordettes sounds over the speakers, which causes Laurie to freeze for a second, a small, sly smile registering on her face as she switches off the radio, somehow aware that it's Michael Myers' favorite song or whatever.
Let it play, it'll help.
But as she makes a U-turn to cross to the other side of the street, we notice a very familiar car parked on the other side of the road, the beaten-down green Travelall that Michael stole from the rest stop. And I don't see him in the car in this scene, so I think he might have gone to town and he's getting the rope and a couple of knives or whatever.
Probably.
He had some errands to
From the
run.
hardware store, yeah.
Or maybe he's crying because he heard them yelling about him on the street.
But the score grows menacing at the very sight of the vehicle. But we return with Laurie to the gates of Hillcrest Academy, the headmistress honking her horn and shouting out to Ronnie to be led inside. Irritated, she continues honking against John's protests, her son climbing out of the car to get Ronnie's attention himself. But behind her SUV, Michael's vehicle pulls up, its engine a low rumble as it idles. Ronnie finally returns, opening the gate for his boss, who pulls forward, just as Michael drives off down the street unnoticed.
You could straight see who was there.
Laurie leans over John to ask Ronnie where the hell he was just now, with Ronnie answering that Norma told him to walk the perimeter. But when he's asked where he was when John and Charlie got out, Ronnie can't even attempt to lie as he looks away from her. Laurie scolds. Eyes up, Ronnie. Just like, you're my boss, but you're not my fucking mom.
I was going to say, you're not my mom.
No. But John silently grimaces to him as if to say, my bad. And Ronnie responds wordlessly, swiping his hand across his throat to let John know that he is cut off. As Laurie speeds off down the path, Ronnie snarks, psycho, before punching the code in to close the gates, but re-entering the guard shack before it's completely shut.
Psycho.
Yeah.
But in the dish pit in the kitchen, Molly is finishing up washing the last of the contents of the sink. She walks over to the dumbwaiter on the opposite wall when it buzzes, calling out to her coworker not to send any more down because she has to go to class. But this request is seemingly denied, and we watch as the car descends from a higher floor down to Molly. She opens it up to discover a bouquet of roses along with a folded letter. She smiles, the once sinister score turning sweet as she collects her flowers and unfolds the note.
Hold on.
Huh?
Your mom brought you home. Where'd you get this fucking bouquet of flowers from? She would have seen it.
Yeah, and he didn't have it with him.
No.
That's true.
Yeah, no.
Maybe it was in Charlie's pants with the wine bottle. This is sweet, but you just know that this dumbwaiter's coming back in a scary way later.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're setting something up. But on the paper, Molly sees what appears to be a map along with a crudely drawn jack-o'-lantern. She reads the instructions, follow the map, and get a surprise. She smiles and immediately does as told. She lets her hair down, following the directions into the scariest-looking corridor I've ever seen.
Yeah. I was like, are they haunted?
Yes, absolutely. But she crosses through a storage area and into the shadows, where John leaps out of the darkness for her in a jump scare. But John chuckles, promising her that this is the best part before switching on the light. He reveals a room with a table at its center set for 4, the walls lined with decorations, and an orange banner at the far wall, which reads, Happy Halloween, in capital letters. Molly is clearly touched, and when John asks if he gets points for this or what, she agrees that he's definitely scored. She hands him her bouquet, stepping deeper into the room to admire her boyfriend's handiwork, as John realizes something. He's never celebrated Halloween before. Molly wonders why that is, and John casually answers, We've got a psychotic serial killer in the family, loves to butcher people on Halloween, and he adds that he thought it would be bad taste to celebrate. It's like, you are giving away your mom's entire fucking...
Yeah.
But when asked why he's choosing to celebrate now, John shares that there comes a point in your life when you have to concentrate on what's right about it. And when Molly seems intrigued by this, John crosses over to her, offering that she is a sterling example of what's right. He promises her his full concentration tonight, and Molly is honored, the pair sharing a kiss. But sometime later, Lori leans against her desk in front of a class full of her literature students, John and Molly seated at opposite ends of the back row. Lori inquires for her class to answer. On the subject of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, what could Victor have done to save Elizabeth? When nobody answers, Lori stalks through the class, wondering if anyone even read the book. Meanwhile, John is cracking Molly up with his childish antics, making silly faces and shoving a pin up his nose. She turns away to stifle her laughter, but in doing so, she finds herself glancing out of the window, where behind the small slats of an old door, she's startled to see the pale white face of the Shape. And she's probably extra startled because he's wearing that terrible fucking K&B mask. But as ominous strings shriek in the score, Lori jokes that the kids didn't even have to read the book. They could have just watched the movie. The students laugh, all but Molly, who Lori takes notice of, calling out to her. Molly stumbles her way into an astute answer, claiming that Victor should have confronted the monster sooner, stating that he was completely responsible for Elizabeth's death and that he was so paralyzed by fear that he never did anything. She says that it took death for him to get a clue. Lori poses another question. Why do you think he was finally able to confront his monster? And Molly supposes that Victor had reached a point in his life where he had nothing to lose. The monster saw to that by killing off everybody that he loved, and Victor finally had to face it. She concludes that it was about redemption. It was his fate. The words seem to hit home with Lori, who stands silent for a moment, only startled out of her introspection by the ringing of the class bell.
I like this scene a lot.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, firstly, I was like, is John allowed to take her class? I don't know how that works. But I think that this kind of analysis of Frankenstein in the context of this film and Laurie Strode is really cool.
Yeah.
And I also love the way that it mirrors the moment that Laurie had sitting and looking out the window in the 78 film. But I'm like, if you dig a little deeper, Lori has matured. She's not a 17-year-old girl anymore. She's an adult. She's not the kid in the seat anymore. She's the teacher at the head of the class. Mm-hmm. But she's still in the classroom and Michael is still outside the window.
Yeah.
She's still trapped in this dynamic. Okay. And I don't know if they were trying to get that deep with it, but I thought that was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
That it's like your circumstances have changed, but this like prison has not.
Okay.
There was something else that was cut from previous drafts / potentially Williamson's treatment. Mm-hmm. But there was supposed to be a scene, and I swear to God, it's like the Mandela effect, because I remember seeing this scene, but I don't know. But there was a book report that was given in the class, and it was over the Haddonfield murders. And Laurie Strode was, of course, teaching the class, and she was forced to listen to this student recount all of it. And part of what the student recounted was the death of Jamie Lloyd, her daughter. And so I don't think that she knew this. And so after the report is finished, she races out of the classroom to throw up in the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
And so it was connecting everything.
Yeah.
To where this is Halloween 7.
Laurie's like, this is the test.
Yeah.
No, but it's like, that's intense.
Yeah.
That's intense. And that would be something else that I don't know if that's a needed layer. Plus, it's like now we're confronted with the fact that she faked her own death and abandoned her daughter.
Yeah. Which kind of, now that
and
would
didn't
make
even keep tabs.
No,
Yeah.
that would make it difficult to root for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I like it better 1-2-H2O.
Yes.
I like
Yeah.
that better.
Me too. And I do understand the desire to try to connect everything, but I think you're doing too much.
Yeah. If it's not needed, we don't need to do it.
Yeah. And that's why there are so many timelines.
Yeah.
You cannot connect all of this.
But as the kids pile out of the room, Lori calls out for everyone to have a good time on their trip to Yosemite. But when she sees John and Molly standing at the back of the class, she calls out to her son to come over. He does so reluctantly, offering an angsty, "What?" But Lori just hands him a folded piece of paper, and before he can peruse the contents inside, she reveals the surprise. It's a permission slip. She tells him the bus leaves in 45 minutes and implores him to go pack quickly. John tells her that he doesn't have to go, but Lori insists that it'll be good for both of them. Clearly struggling with her decision, but wanting to do what's right for her son, Lori tells John to just call her while he's there, to call, and if he feels like he's called too many times, call once more.
Oh.
Yeah.
John smiles gratefully as his mother tells him to have a great time. He thanks her, turning away to exit the class, and exhaling a sigh as Lori stands at her desk, filled with uncertainty.
I love that both of their faces crumbled as soon as he turned around. But it's funny because in my notes I have, honestly, there's nothing wrong with this movie so far.
Yeah. No.
I'm having a great time.
Yeah. And I would feel very bad. I have this, I'm not going to go, whatever. My mom's not letting me go. Okay, fuck it. We're going to party here. All my friends are here.
Yeah.
And then your mom's like, you know what, dude? You were right.
Mm-hmm.
Go have fun. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah. It's like we've put in a lot of work today.
Yeah.
But out in the hall, John rejoins Molly, telling her what just happened. She asks if that means he's going to Yosemite now, but John just smiles slyly, crumpling the permission slip as he replies, "I wouldn't say that."
Immediately, I'm like, your mom is going to find out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way she's not going to know.
I know.
But at 4:15, Lori watches from the window of her office as a crowd of students pile into the waiting buses, cheering excitedly as they carry their belongings for the weekend trip. She stands distracted, inattentive to her phone call, and eventually asks the person on the other end if she can just call them back. She rushes out of the building and over to the courtyard to watch as the last of the buses depart the campus. On commentary, Steve Miner had said that they had gotten these buses for the production, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the producers saw as a potential way to save money that they would not have seats in these buses. And so they're literally shells of buses, and Steve Miner did not know until they went to film this scene. And so the kids pile inside and they're just pretending.
I will be honest. The last bus is painted over like before it's a school bus. So I was like, that bus is fixing to get fucked up.
Oh,
I was like,
okay.
that,
It did
I was
look
like,
kinda
that
weird.
bus is different than the rest.
That's
That
a
one's
stunt
blowing
bus.
up.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Lori appears wistful, hoping that she did the right thing by allowing John to leave. But when she turns to walk away, she bumps right into Norma, a sting in the score accompanying the jump scare. I laughed out loud because she goes, "Damn it!" Like she is pissed. But Norma apologizes profusely for startling her, noting, well, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
Very good.
Yeah.
Lori acknowledges that she's had her share, but when she turns to walk away, Norma stops her. She admits that it's not her place, but she asks if she can be maternal for a moment. I was like, this is adorable.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
She confides that she doesn't like to see her like this, noting that she's seen Miss Tate like this before. She says that we've all had bad things happen to us, but the trick is to concentrate on today. When Lori doesn't answer, Norma relents. What do I know? But she very sweetly tells the headmistress to just take care of herself, okay? Lori thanks her for her advice, telling her secretary that she'll see her Monday. In the score, a motif from Bernard Herrmann's Psycho composition plays as Norma approaches her car, a 1957 Ford sedan. She suddenly turns around, though, calling out, "Oh, Miss Tate! Happy Halloween!" Lori stops on her path, feigning a smile as she turns to face Norma, offering a wave as the secretary climbs into her car and turns the key.
She's like, I'm going to go home and take a nice long shower.
Norma, no!
This is just so cute.
Yeah.
It is. Seeing the car and hearing the music and all that, I was like, that's really cool.
They had said, so I had read an interview with Kevin Williamson, and he was like, and they went through great lengths to actually find the car that they used for Psycho, only to learn that they didn't find the exact car, but the exact model.
Okay.
Which to me, I think that is remarkable on its own. It doesn't have to be the screen used anything.
Yeah.
I think that just this little homage and the license plate, which is the same license plate.
Okay, very nice.
It's just really, really cool.
Yeah.
And to see Jamie Lee Curtis share the screen with her mother like this,
Yeah.
it's very sweet. But the last of the school buses drive through the open gates of the academy, and we follow them down the road as the light of day descends into dusk. As they disappear past a curve and behind shrubbery, the headlights of Michael's stolen car beam to life, his vehicle carrying him onward in the other direction toward Hillcrest Academy.
I put Michael do be driving, don't he?
It's so funny to me how he's just like waiting for his moment.
Yeah.
But we return to the gates just outside of the campus, gliding over them to the lowly lit security shack just on the other side. Ronnie once again reads a passage to his wife that he's clearly put his entire day into. She took off her clothes, revealing her satiny soft femininity, and Lawrence looked at her with lust in his eyes and said, I want to invade every part of your being. I want to tantalize myself with your sweet nectar. Cheryl sounds through the speaker, insistent that Tanya better not fall for that shit, adding that she can smell it a mile away. And Ronnie continues that Tanya laughed at Lawrence, surprised that he expected her to fall for that shit.
So cute.
Cheryl cackles, pleased to learn that Ronnie has written such a smart character. But when headlights suddenly pierce through the bars of the gate, Ronnie tries to rush off the phone to tend to his duties. Cheryl is content with waiting on the other end, telling her husband that she can't wait to hear what stupid line Tanya does fall for. And Ronnie jokes, the same one you did.
That's funny.
But he sets the phone down and heads outside, discovering the idling Travelall parked there, smoke rising from its tailpipe and into the night sky. But when no one answers his calls, Ronnie opens the gate to get a closer look. He steps out, peering into the window of the vehicle before opening the door to kill the engine. And unbeknownst to him, as the score rises suspensefully, Michael creeps by just behind him, through the gate and onto the campus grounds. But Ronnie, discovering that there's no one there, returns to the keypad on the other side of the bars, punching in the code to close the gate as he re-enters the shack, puzzled. He picks up the phone, telling Cheryl that he'll have to call her back, but we watch as the shape suddenly appears through the shack window, tilting his head as he watches Ronnie curiously. As he crosses over to the other window, the camera arcs around Ronnie, who tells his wife that he isn't sure what's going on, but he has to check it out. Cheryl responds annoyed that Ronnie does this all the time, getting her going, and then he has to... But a loud noise catches Ronnie's attention, and he looks up at the window where Michael once stood, only for the shape to slink out of sight just in time. And suddenly, the line goes dead, Ronnie calling out to his wife to no response, finally hanging up the phone and exiting the guard shack to investigate.
I really like Ronnie
Mm-hmm.
and his dream of being a writer. It is a dream that we share. I love his banter with his wife. I think that it's very funny. But this scene, I'm like, maybe you should have gotten fired.
Once again, no peripheral
This is
vision.
real bad.
I know.
This is real bad.
And I will say, I don't know if it's the music cues, but it once again, and I know it's like a broken record at this point, but it feels like Scream
Yeah.
so much. And I swear I thought this might be the end of Ronnie right here.
Yeah.
It does feel
Yeah.
like it.
But in her office, Lori collects her belongings, shutting off the light. But a clattering noise startles her from behind, stopping her momentarily, only for her to disregard it, exiting the building. We linger a while, following Lori as every nearby noise seems to catch her attention. The sound of a woman laughing, a light switching on in an upstairs window. But she just continues on her path, heading home, until off in the distance, she spies the unmistakable silhouette of the Shape, wearing that K&B mask again. So she's scared.
Much to your chagrin.
I hate it. But he stalks toward her, Lori closing her eyes, attempting to rid herself of the phantom from her past. But when she opens them again, she discovers that he is only coming closer, and she tries again, closing her eyes, but the figure finally reaches her, and we see that it's Will. He frightens the shit out of her in another jump scare, laughing it off as he comments, "I keep scaring you today."
Yeah.
Why'd you say that?
Exactly. It's going to be a heel turn.
Yeah.
That's all I was thinking. But Lori struggles to find the words when he asks what she's doing out here. She finally answers that it's nothing, and Will shares that he's out making the rounds, telling her that he still has to check on the kids, but he says that he was hoping to have the honor of spending the evening with her. Lori admits that she would like the company, clearly shaken as she departs from Will, who asks for just 20 minutes to check on the kids. But as Will walks away, he spies the Shape slinking into the shadows of a bush, calling out to him, getting no response, and investigating no further.
It's probably fine.
Yeah. So that's the thing to me, is I thought that this is Lori just thinking that he's there.
Yeah.
But he was literally walking towards
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
And then he ducked behind a bush when he saw, I guess, Will coming over.
Yeah, but I think that that's why her seeing him before works.
Yes.
Because she would have been on red alert otherwise.
Right.
But now she's trying to calm herself because she's like, no, I do this. And he's never really here. But this time he's really here.
But in the dormitories, Molly and Sarah are getting ready for their double date. We pan from their television where Scream 2 plays. Roger L. Jackson's ghost face rasping on the other end of the telephone to Cece, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar. "Do you want to die tonight, Cece?"
Are you sure that was playing? It looked like it was paused.
I don't know. I mean, she's frozen in fear.
She's terrified.
It's funny because there was no anything. It just was the still. And I was like, is that on? I hear the voice, but...
I was overjoyed because what I had said earlier about if this was Scream, I would think that he was Ghostface.
Right.
That is the last note that I wrote. And then I was like, oh my God, it's Scream 2.
It's funny because I think that Chris Durand played Ghostface in Scream 2.
That's hilarious.
great.
And I did read Kevin Williamson says that watching this part makes him cringe now. It's connecting the universe and it's just like a cheeky thing, but he's like, man, we really thought we were doing something. I just think it's a bit of fun and like a callback to Halloween playing in Scream so much.
For sure.
But some people were like, it's universe breaking. I'm like, calm down. Let's just have a good time. Let's have a good time.
Relax, dude. How many fucking timelines are we on
Yeah,
right
seriously.
now?
But a knock on the door startles the two young women, Sarah stashing her cigarette into an empty bottle and attempting to wave the smoke away. Once the coast is clear, Molly invites the person on the other side in. It's Will who steps into the room, checking in on who he calls the Hillcrest Remains, and asking what their plans are for the evening. Sarah snarks that they figured they'd go into town, pick up some guys, drop some roofies in their drink, have a whole date rape evening. Will accepts this, but declines the girl's offer to join them, lamenting that he can't. He's actually having his nipples pierced. Molly answers, "Oh, I don't think that she expected to say that." But Will tells them to have a good time and to let him or Miss Tate know if they need anything. He instructs them to behave, but the second he closes the door behind him, the girls snap into action, shutting off the TV and getting ready for their rendezvous. But sometime later, we find the quartet breaking into the building where they've set up for their double date. John is the last to climb in through the window, but he stops when he hears an eerie rustling in the trees behind him. He turns to take a look, fear seeming to settle in, until Charlie and the girls snap him out of it, and he climbs inside with their help, the group excited for the evening ahead of them. But back at home, Lori pours herself a glass of vodka, downing all of it as she crosses through the living room and over to her bathroom mirror, staring solemnly at her reflection as she snags the mouthwash, giving herself a refreshing swish.
This is just sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After spitting it into the sink, she exhales in a sigh. Fuck it. But a knock at the door summons her back into the living room, and when she opens it, she stands smiling at the sight before her. It's Will, clutching a large pumpkin and telling his lover that he thought that they'd do this right. She invites him inside, closing the door behind him. I don't know if the big-ass pumpkin was a reference to the big-ass pumpkin from 78.
I was thinking so.
I know that you carve pumpkins on Halloween.
Right.
But it just felt very specific.
Yeah.
But we return to the teens, finding Charlie and Sarah in the kitchen, preparing their treats and eats for the evening, with Sarah offering the very relatable line, God, I love food.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, well, she's my favorite character here. But she says that she hopes Charlie doesn't mind if she gets big and dumpy, admitting that it's one of her life goals. And Charlie answers that he's always found obesity very sexy. And as they gather their trays full of food to bring to the others, Sarah swoons. God, you're so Renaissance. It's all very Kevin Williamson through and through.
Very.
But just the way that they are, I really like this couple.
No, the banter's cute.
It's funny.
Sibel's Happy blasts from the speakers in the other room, where John and Molly stand together illuminated by the glow of dozens of candles, Charlie and Sarah finally joining them, with Sarah announcing that the buffet has arrived before setting their trays down. Charlie declares that they've prepared Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday's Hillcrest dinner selections, ignoring Meatloaf Monday and Turkey Tuesday. Molly rejoices at this fact, but when Sarah asks where the booze is, Charlie exits to go get it, descending into the depths of that frightening storage area all alone.
My note was poor Charlie. He's dead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was my very first thought. I was like, he's not coming back.
But back at home, Lori straddles Will on the couch, offering him a piece of candy corn with her kiss. And this is the chewiest piece of candy corn of all time. Because he enjoys it, I think, for the rest of the scene.
He does.
But in the midst of their affection, Lori suddenly confesses, I'm not who you think I am. Will bites, asking through his kisses who she is then, and Lori shares that her name isn't Carrie Tate. Will just chuckles, though, offering a moan as he asks for her real name, which she reveals, Lori Strode.
It's like, I know I'm picking a very sexy time to do this, but this isn't like I'm being for real.
Right,
like, that's
right.
not my name. It's like, no, dude, we're not playing a thing. Like,
We're not?
Oh, but yeah, maybe he didn't know.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I picked a really sexy time to do this, but for real, that's not my name.
Will just chuckles as he chews his everlasting candy corn, repeating the name, Strode. Lori continues that she changed her name when she went into hiding, but Will just kisses her breasts, admitting that he likes that, supposing that it's like the witness protection program, and wondering if she ratted someone out like in the mob or something.
See, he's not getting it.
Well, I mean, I get we're being vulnerable, and I guess maybe this isn't the best time to bring this up because I'm not paying attention.
No.
I'm not.
And I will say there is, I think, a deleted scene that was in the FX broadcast
Yeah.
where they do carve that pumpkin, and it's like, why couldn't you said it then? It's like, I'm very distracted. But in a shaky breath, Lori divulges, my brother killed my sister when she was 17. Will acknowledges that that's sucky, but with a smile, he asks her how her brother did that. Lori answers that he did so with a really big kitchen knife, and Will calls this terrible. But with another kiss, he implores Lori to take off her clothes. She stops him, reminding Will that he said he would listen. And looking into his eyes, Lori continues that her brother was locked up for a long time, but he got out and came after her. She says that she got away, but her brother killed a lot of her friends. And it all happened. Will finishes with her on Halloween. When Laurie is surprised that he's heard the story, he asks, "Who hasn't?" Michael Myers. He remembers that it was like 20 years ago, and Laurie concurs. 1978. It is very funny to me, the title of the film being H2O 20 years later.
Yeah.
But every single time it comes up, people are like, isn't it like about
Roughly.
20 years? Something like it.
I'm rounding to.
But Will asks about the sister in the story, remembering that she died, right? But Laurie corrects him. She faked her death and is now the head mistress of a very posh and secluded private school in Northern California, hoping and praying every year that her brother doesn't find her. Will finally understands, his face sinking in solemnity as he asks if Laurie is telling him the truth. And with tears in her eyes, she nods, asking, "Now, do you want something to drink?" Will eagerly accepts, a somber piano accompanying Laurie's walk to the refrigerator for her bottle of vodka. She passes their freshly carved jack-o'-lantern on the way back, and before taking a swig, she inquires. It explains a lot, doesn't it?
Well, maybe we should have sex first so we can clear our minds. And then with our minds, we can focus, and then you can talk.
But Will sits up, unable to comprehend that Laurie has been living with this for 20 years. She hands Will the bottle, and he asks sincerely if she thinks that after all this time, Michael would still be coming after her. Laurie reminds him that Michael sat in a sanitarium for 15 years waiting for her, and then, one rainy night, he decided to go trick-or-treating. A sympathetic Will sits there, moved by Laurie's story, and he asks how old she was when all this happened. But glancing up on the mantle of the fireplace at her son's birthday card, which he left there for some reason, the gold number emblazoned on the front seems to catch the overhead light, and Laurie answers with seeming fear. 17. She suddenly grows frantic, wondering if Will thinks the kids made it to Yosemite, before crossing to a desk on the other side of the room and reaching for the telephone to call her son.
So this is just assuming. Because
yeah.
she has no idea. If we've had no contact with Michael, he doesn't know anything about her. He doesn't know she's got a fucking kid.
No,
So right away it's like, I'm fine, but fuck, John's in danger.
Yeah.
well, I understand.
It's a leap. It's a leap.
I don't. I said I understand, but I don't. Because I get, Michael is big on anniversaries because of Halloween.
Right.
But I would think that, of course, he killed his sister when she was 17. He came after Laurie when she was 17. I guess now he's coming after John when he's 17.
Yeah.
I think the 20 years is a bigger one that we're kind of. But Laurie's eyes widen with worry when she discovers that the phone is dead, finding the same result when she races into John's room to try the telephone in there. But while she's in his bedroom, she makes her way over to his closet, which seems to hold all of the necessary items and supplies that one would definitely need to go on a camping trip.
John.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they look ready. So was he planning on sneaking and going anyway?
I feel like he maybe thought in the morning that he could convince her.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he had said that. He's like, today's the day.
Right.
And then he realized that it actually will be a lot cooler to make love here and not go. But Laurie realizes John didn't go to Yosemite. Will follows her into her bedroom where she retrieves a revolver from beneath her pillow, making sure it's loaded as she heads for the front door. Will tells her that this is nuts, but Laurie insists that she needs to go find her son. But when she opens the door, they find Ronnie standing there, all three jumping in fright as Laurie raises her gun to him instinctively. Maybe you're not the one that should have the gun. But she reports to Ronnie that the phones are out, which he already knows, and he reveals to her that there's a strange car parked at the front gate, though he says that he hasn't found any signs of trespassing. This is probably when Will should be like, I saw somebody skulking into the bushes.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
think
right.
anything of it at the time.
I'll be honest too. You gotta be a little scared.
Oh, yeah.
Your girlfriend laid all this shit on you. She just pulled out a gun. Her son's missing. This dude comes and he's like, "Hey, there's a weird car in the front," and like none of the phones work. Yeah, I even if it's like, okay, let's everybody calm down. It's like in the back of your head, you got to think: is tonight the night that Michael Myers fucking kills me?
Me.
Like, well, I'm not. Come on,
I mean,
like, come on.
This is your first film in the franchise.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to make it.
No.
But yeah, I mean, it's stacking up in a way that even if you're skeptical,
Yeah,
come on.
it doesn't look good.
But Laurie understands immediately, breathing. Fuck. But Will insists that there's no reason to get worked up about it yet, imploring her to calm down. But Ronnie eyes the headmistress's gun as she devises a plan. She's going to go find the kids. Ronnie can go try to get the phones up and running, and they'll all meet back at the front gate. Will follows her out as Ronnie accepts the assignment. But back at the Halloween party, Sarah heads off on her own in search of Charlie, calling out to him, "Charlie? Inconsiderate party of one. Your table is ready." She's like, "You cretin," or whatever.
Yes.
She looks around when there's no response, but from the shadows of a pantry enters Charlie, reaching for her. He pulls her close in an embrace and a kiss after scaring her, handing over 2 wine glasses, sharing that he found them, but no corkscrew. Sarah pleads with him to join her because she's hungry, but Charlie reveals that his search isn't finished, and as he slides the door open to climb into the dumbwaiter, he says that he's going to see if there's one upstairs. He rings the bell to Sarah's protests, offering, "I'll be right back."
Yep. Big mistake.
Yeah.
We watch as he ascends to the upper floor, immediately rifling through the drawers that he finds in the upstairs kitchen. Coming up empty, he glances over to the sink, finally finding the very red corkscrew resting on the windowsill, which is where we all keep our corkscrews. But when he reaches for it, he accidentally knocks it down into the garbage disposal. He spies it through the drain, cursing at his newfound predicament.
I have a few things. This was infuriating to watch this corkscrew go down the drain. And anybody who's listened for a while knows that I'm deathly afraid of garbage disposals. So, and I was like, I know that it's one of the Amityvilles that did that to me, but I'm like, I wonder if this contributed because I'm afraid of dumbwaiters too.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And we get both in this film. But also him going in search for a corkscrew, and we're like, okay, it's kind of obvious what's going to happen, moving forward. It did remind me of Friday the 13th.
Very fair.
The last one was up 4.
Yeah.
I think it might have been.
The last one, the final one.
Yes. Much like this film.
Yes. No more. With Crispin Glover, right?
Right.
But Charlie flips the switch of the disposal, watching as the tool is twisted around the grinding blades of the appliance. He shuts it off, steeling himself for what he has to do next. But just behind him appears the shape, silhouetted in the light pouring in through the other room. Tension rises as Charlie sticks his hand into the drain, his frantic fingers feeling around the blade of the disposal, blindly searching, glancing over at the still turned off switch, and returning to the task at hand. And after an agonizing few seconds that feel much longer, he finally retrieves the corkscrew without incident.
I hated every second of this.
Yeah.
I saw on this featurette they were saying that, and this is what I'm saying about the film kind of being written and rewritten while they're filming it. This apparently was all Jamie Lee Curtis's idea, this whole gag. And she had said that she thought it should be turned on and fuck up his hand. But she was, I guess, ruled against, and so they're like, we'll just, I guess,
Well,
do
I don't
this.
think Mike's doing that.
I just love that she came to the table with so many ideas.
She's like, maybe the Canadian comedian.
Yeah.
An SNL alum can get his hand fucked up.
Oh, he's the kid now.
I don't know why not. But just as Charlie turns to walk away, he bumps right into Michael Myers, who is wearing a mask that was absolutely physically there when this scene was filmed and definitely not added in post with the use of computer graphics.
I rewound it because I was like, surely that's not what I just saw.
No, yeah, that was odd because it is there and it's not like maybe we can hide this with some shadow or something. No,
Yeah.
it's like right there zoomed in.
It's I know I've been talking a lot of shit about the K and B mask, but this might be the most egregious thing.
Oh, no, it's awful.
It's crazy.
It's
I don't know what they were thinking.
No. For the close-up.
Yeah.
I truly don't understand. It's hilarious, honestly.
But Charlie leaps back, offering the shape a sheepish hi, as we spy him reflected in Michael's unblinking eye. But downstairs, Sarah grows impatient, wandering through the prep area and over to a pantry. She switches on the light, which flickers a dull orange, but she's soon distracted by a shadow cast through the windows of a nearby door. She goes over to it, unable to open it, and retreats back into the dish area. She trembles. Lights up, Charlie. No sex games until I've eaten. But when she tries to make her exit through the other door, she finds it to be locked as well. She tries to keep her cool, calling out to Charlie, but suddenly, the car of the dumbwaiter is sent down from the upper level, and Sarah rushes over to lift the door open when it arrives. But inside, she finds Charlie, huddled in a heap, and when she reaches for him, relieved, fear finds her firmly as Charlie tumbles back lifeless, his throat slashed wide open. Sarah screams, but as she turns to run away, she finds the shape standing in the doorway, clutching the long, bloody blade of a knife. The score rising tensely, Michael stalks toward her, leaving her no option but to climb into the dumbwaiter with her dead boyfriend, reaching out for the call button as she races to close the door. Michael reaches her, just barely. I'm assuming he missed her because he's changed masks again. But the sharp end of his knife reaches through the small crack in the door to pierce her right in the thigh.
Got that cat right in the leg. I was like, God damn it, dude.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I feel from like what I seen, he didn't hit her. But I mean,
then we see it.
But we do see it.
Sarah howls in pain as the door finally closes and she rides upward to the second floor. But Michael watches from below as the cart disappears into the dark, the door opening upstairs for Sarah to climb out once she arrives. But as she climbs out, her leg is somehow tangled beneath Charlie's, and when she goes to free herself, Michael makes short work of the hoisting rope with one swift slash of his blade. I know she piled in there quickly, but like, how the fuck did you get pretzeled like that?
Thank you. That was my note. What is his leg made out of? You could have got out from under there.
But the car comes tumbling down, crushing Sarah's leg with its full weight. With great agony, Sarah pulls herself out of the car, collapsing to the floor in vibrant pain and dragging her dislodged lower leg with her, which lands on the kitchen tiles with a bloody splat. This looks great.
Yes.
But absolutely disgusting and horrible.
It's so good.
But when the car crashes down to the lower level in front of Michael, John and Molly take notice of the sound in the other room, interrupting their cuddles and their enjoyment of Creed's What's This Life For?
Yeah, what the I laughed.
It was 1998, everyone.
I know.
I just want to point out, because I did read this, but apparently, I told you the Weinsteins were pissed off about the score from John Ottman.
Right.
Apparently, when that whole thing was going on with this thing involving the score, they also had another thing that they wanted in the film, and it was this song by Creed.
Wow.
And so they made Lussier, forced him to put this in this scene. And I don't know if you guys stayed for the end credits, but after the John Carpenter Halloween theme, this song plays.
Oh my
They
God.
loved it.
I don't know what was going on at the time, because even remember Scream 3?
Yeah.
That's right.
And I'm sure Ottman had to wrestle with the fact, this is my sacrifice. You know what I mean? So he just went into it with arms wide open. What else can you do?
I don't know any more creeps.
I was trying to think.
But having everything been changed from what he wanted, I'm sure that he's left wondering, what if?
And now we're out.
There you go.
But thankfully, John shuts off the stereo, suggesting that they should go check on Charlie and Sarah, as they've been gone for quite a while. Molly wonders what they might be doing, and John jokes that it kind of reeks of a cheap scare, doesn't it? Regardless, they decide to depart in search of their friends. But meanwhile, upstairs, Sarah pulls herself across the kitchen floor, her ruined leg a mess behind her. But just as she finds herself nearer to the door on the other side of the room, Michael's shadow darkens the doorway. She begs for her life as Michael stalks over to her, planting his boot on her neck and forcing her down to the ground. He brings down the blade of his knife into her back, again and again and again, his eyes emotionless as he adds another victim to his sinister spree. But John and Molly cross through the creepy corridor on their way to the downstairs kitchen, calling out for their friends. When no one answers their calls, Molly posits that maybe they just skipped right to dessert. But as they continue forward, John's boot squelches in something on the kitchen tiles, the pair responding in confusion when they discover what it is. A long trail of red liquid leading directly from the dumbwaiter down the hall behind them. And this is really funny to me when you think about it, because that means that what we're about to see, Michael did not carry this body downstairs. He used the dumbwaiter and met her there. And
work smarter, not harder. Okay,
that's fair.
He's a busy man. He's got masks to change.
But as they follow it, John is certain that this must be some kind of sick joke. He and Molly finally reach the door to the pantry, creaking it open. And in the darkness, they hear something trickling inside, which inspires Molly to reach for the light switch, illuminating the pantry to reveal Sarah's body hanging at the room's center like a morbid decoration, the bulb burning brightly within her hollowed-out center, sparks raining down from the ceiling in a macabre display. Molly screams, reaching for John's trembling hand as they stumble backward in horror, where across the room stands the Shape, tilting his head in seeming curiosity at the couple. This visual, and I know Michael's the original prankster.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's been doing this since 78.
Right.
But this was wild.
It's rough.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know what Sarah did to her. Because it's like 3 things he did to her.
Well, he had to go upstairs and then downstairs. And
Yeah.
even using the dumbwaiter, he had to go use the stairs.
It's true.
Yeah, he's like, you got to take a ride. I didn't. Yeah, he's pissed, and I get it.
But John rushes Molly down the hall, the pair making a frantic escape out of the window they used to enter the building, breaking free to reach seeming safety just outside. Molly quavers, wondering what the fuck they're supposed to do, but John offers an answer. They'll rush back to their dorms and call the police once they get there. But before they can set out for their sanctuary, Michael leaps out of nowhere, seizing Molly by the hair.
Where the hell did he come
Yeah,
from?
what
No.
the fuck?
And that was the other thing I was thinking as well is I'm sure that your mother probably described to you just, around what Michael Myers looks like.
Yeah.
Or his tactics or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
You're
even
not going to go check on her. You know she's
Right.
here.
Yeah,
even if
that's
she
true.
didn't, like Lori telling her boyfriend the backstory, he knows about Michael Myers.
Yeah.
They have sketches of him. Like, we know who this is.
Yeah.
But he's like, we gotta get out of here.
But just as Michael raises his knife, John snaps into action, socking his estranged uncle in the face a few times until Michael knocks him down onto the ground. He brings the knife down into John's thigh, the young man screaming in pain.
He really hates legs in this
Yeah.
movie.
But before Michael can finish him off, Molly snags a nearby stone, clocking Michael across the face with it and giving her and John just enough time to break away.
She's a keeper, John.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for real.
Molly helps John onward, the young man leaning on his girlfriend for support as they traipse through the trees and climb a flight of stairs at the end of them. But Michael follows close behind in pursuit, apparently delayed a little bit because he changed back to the K&B mask.
He also, when he gets up, looks like he's scowling, like it's like cartoonish. It was very funny.
But John and Molly reach the dormitories, Molly searching frantically through her keys to unlock the gate as Michael rounds the corner to follow them.
The keys?
Yeah. They're barely able to wrench it open in time, slamming the gate shut, with Molly dropping her keys on the opposite side in the process. She reaches for them desperately, but is forced to retreat when Michael catches up with them. With their backs to the door, Michael reaches for them, slicing wildly through the air, but unable to make contact despite his best efforts. But then, he notices the dropped keyring on the ground, picking it up and eyeing it curiously. I know he's been driving a lot, but there's a moment here that I'm like, God damn, you know keys?
Yeah, dude, him going through them, I laughed out loud.
Well, he learned.
Like, yeah. He's like, this goes, nope, this one doesn't fit. It's like, that's hilarious.
Trial and error.
Yeah.
But seeing no other option, John and Molly pound on the door behind them, begging for someone, anyone, to open up and allow their escape. And just as Michael sinks the proper key into the lock of the gate, Lori and Will answer their call, pushing the door open and pulling the kids inside, just as Michael breaches the area. Lori is barely able to close the door just in time, but through the small window in front of her, Lori once again finds herself face to face with Michael Myers, staring deep into the blackest eyes that peer back at her through his new mask.
That's funny, but this was a great way for them to face up in this. Face up, no pun intended. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a reunion 20 years in the making.
It's so good.
And this shot, again, like this is your marketing completely.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Right there.
And it's this confirmation of her paranoia and her overprotectiveness. Like, it was just a really cool moment. And her saving her son.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Just good.
It's like the inertia of the whole scene, how the suspense builds, and it's very well choreographed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It is really, really good. But Michael tilts his head in recognition, and when Lori is finally able to tear her eyes away from him, reaching into her waistband to unholster her gun, Michael is somehow able to disappear, nowhere in sight when she peers through the glass once again. But inside, Lori tends to her injured son, lifting him to his feet to help him up the staircase. Once they reach the second floor, Will asks, "Who was that?"
Come on, man.
I don't know. Lori can only answer, "My brother." She forces the kids down the long hall, opening a door to a closet and ordering them inside to hide. She instructs them to barricade the door and lock it. But when they stand there shaken and unresponsive, Lori orders, "Do as I say, now." We love a callback.
Yeah.
Yes.
But she slams the door, drawing her gun as Will follows close behind, pleading to know what they're supposed to do. Lori just aims her revolver, replying that they try to live. Tension rises in the score, sizzling as the pair rounds the corner, and when they reach an opened window, the white curtains billowing in the breeze, Lori implores Will to jump, to go. But Will refuses, telling her that he isn't leaving her. Lori counters that she isn't leaving John. Nobody asked you to, but okay.
Yeah.
But behind her, Will notices a long shadow stretched across the far wall at the end of the corridor, and he wrenches the gun from Lori's hand to fire at the approaching figure. The figure cowers at Will's wild barrage of bullets, finally collapsing to the ground in a heap. But as they inch closer, Will lets out a mournful cry when he discovers what he's done. There, on the floorboards, lies the unmoving body of Ronnie, who lies in a small pool of his own blood.
Fuck.
Yeah. No. You're fucking Michael Myers.
Either
Dude,
either you're Michael Myers or this is bullshit.
I will say they're like a tag team.
Yeah, well, what the fuck is this?
There was a shot of the person rounding the corner, and it's Michael Myers.
When they ran up and it was Ronnie, I was like, fuck off.
Well, we have him doing the whole disappearing and then it being Will at the last minute. Then him snatching the gun from her and shooting. I was like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
And then when we find out that it was Ronnie, I was like, oh no, this is too. Why did you waste the only fucking 6 bullets that I had in there?
See, so yeah, you're right. It does feel very.
Yeah, I was like,
That's
what the hell
true.
was that?
No, I laughed out loud because it was
Well, I laughed,
visibly,
but-
It's straight
it
up
was
out.
visibly Michael Myers.
But yeah, it is like a Kevin Williamson thing. It's like you need 2 killers.
Yes.
But the pair crumble at Ronnie's side in shock and regret. Laurie's sobbing as she dips her hand into his blood. For some reason, that we will see, I guess, in a second.
Okay.
But it really only serves the next scene. It doesn't make any sense right now.
Okay.
But she draws back a crimson palm as Will rises to his feet, stuttering that he thought it was... But before he can finish his sentence, Michael suddenly makes his presence known, sticking his knife into Will's spine. The counselor lifted off of his feet, vibrating involuntarily, emitting a pained rattle as blood pours from his lips. I think this might be a callback to, I think it was a nurse that died in Halloween 2 that Michael lifted off her feet with a scalpel.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that Michael hit like the perfect nerve or something because this dude is... Or maybe he electrified his knife. I don't know.
Oh, maybe he's modded it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's thrashing about a little bit.
But Laurie takes off running, and as Michael drops Will's body to the floor, she reaches for a door just around the corner, smearing Ronnie's blood against it as she opens it. But revealing it to only be a closet, she curses. We then cut very abruptly to Michael now standing in the hall, the closet door now closed with blood dripping from its handle. This cut is so jarring, it's kind of hilarious. It's like we see Laurie there, and then it's a split second, and now it's Michael.
Yeah.
I think that's why maybe, and the fact that they waited so long for the spree to start, this probably in part to the editing, but it flies.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's like you're at breakneck speed through the rest of the film.
Mm-hmm.
But assuming his sister to be hiding behind the door, he reaches for the handle, smashing through it when he's unable to open it. But Laurie lurches out of nowhere, sneak attacking him from behind with a fire extinguisher, crashing it against the back of his skull. He eats it, collapsing forward, which admittedly looks really hilarious. But Laurie uses this opportunity to race for the storage closet where John and Molly are hiding, banging on the door for them to open up. As they join Laurie outside, Michael rises to his feet, the shape stalking them through the corridor and following closely behind them when they race down an outside staircase, across the courtyard, and over to Laurie's parked SUV. Laurie and Molly force John into the back seat, the pair piling in just as Michael catches up with them, seemingly having made a quick detour to switch back to the K&B mask. But just as he reaches the vehicle, once again donning the other mask, Laurie is able to get the engine to turn over, speeding away and right for the front gate of Hillcrest Academy. The SUV screeches to a stop, Laurie climbing out from the driver's seat to open the gate. Another wild thing that I saw in that featurette, Jamie Lee Curtis's stunt woman was a woman called Donna Keegan. And she's the one that did this stunt where it's full speed to the gate and an abrupt stop.
Okay.
And I guess that whenever she did it, according to Josh Hartnett, they hadn't really considered the anti-lock brakes. And so when she did it, it like snapped back and it broke her foot.
Holy shit.
Damn.
So it's wild to think of it because you see a stunt like this and you're like, well, yeah, you're just driving a car and stopping. It's like, no,
Yeah.
there's details of everything.
No, yeah.
God damn.
You know? But as the gate opens slowly, Laurie glances back toward the campus, back to wherever her brother is lurking, the wheels seemingly spinning in her tormented mind. A frantic Molly sobs for her to get back in the car, but Laurie orders them to go without her. Molly can't believe what she's hearing, but Laurie leans closer, directing her to drive down the street to the Beckers, a mile down the road, and tell them to call the police and send an ambulance. We're getting cute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Molly's initial refusal is met with Laurie's insistent shout, "Do as I say now!" And John crumbles into tears for his mother, but Laurie promises through her emotions that she'll be right behind them. She closes the driver's side door, Molly taking the wheel, and as the teens drive off for the Beckers, Laurie enters the code into the pad to close the gates. Once they seal shut, she bashes the keypad with a stone, disabling it, and retreating over to a glass case just outside of the guard shack. She kicks it open, shattering the glass to retrieve an axe. Glancing up the hill and into the evening, Laurie climbs the path ahead of her, the Halloween theme suddenly surrounding her as she ventures onward for the final face-off with her brother. The camera rises above her, her long shadow cast behind her, as she screams into the night for Michael.
I thought that was really cool. Her, like, I need to do this. I just would have liked her maybe to say something to Molly about the whole Frankenstein thing.
Honestly.
It did seem to resonate with her when they were in the class. So here, when Molly's like, no, what are you doing? She could have said anything.
And with what Molly said, it could have been something like, I'm facing my monster.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
The monsters. And her be like, oh, you have to do this.
Mm-hmm. And then she is cool with it and drives them off.
Damn, that is such a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
That would have been perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how much of a badass she is. Obviously, she is afraid. She's traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
She's been struggling to cope for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And given the moment to flee, she's like, no,
Yeah.
you're trapped in here with me. It's like, we're
She's Rorschach.
Yeah. We're ending this.
Yeah.
I love it.
It is funny on commentary, Jamie Lee Curtis, when the gates close and she kicks the thing to get the axe, she's like, so for me, this is really where the film begins. And I'm like, we have 10 minutes left.
Honey, it's over.
But on a mission, Laurie re-enters the academic building, calling out for her brother, unafraid and unabated. But just as she enters the corridor that haunted her nightmares at the beginning of the film, Michael lowers himself from a pipe just behind her. I'm not sure how she didn't see him when she entered the hall.
Yeah.
He is about 6'5".
I do like him doing that, but it is funny. You didn't hear him pull himself up there, climb up there
No.
to prepare for this shot?
I guess not. They said that was a decision made on the day.
Oh, okay.
Because they're like, we were running out of like him walking out of shadows and stuff. Like, we got to think of something else. And so they were like, can you get up there? And Chris Duran was like, sure.
Okay.
But as he drops down, Laurie whips around, sinking the sharp blade of the axe into his shoulder. Michael responds in kind, slashing through her sleeve and leaving a wound at her upper arm, possibly reopening the scar that he sliced in 1978.
Yeah.
But Laurie cowers into the cafeteria, Michael following close behind her after removing the axe from his shoulder and dropping it to stick upright in the floorboards in the hall. He enters the room, which is lined with rows of dining tables, each draped in a white tablecloth, searching for his sister. Unbeknownst to him, Laurie lies just beneath the table next to him, rolling to hide beneath an adjacent one, crawling forward and peering out into the room for Michael. But unbeknownst to her, Michael stands on the table just above her, and when she slinks out to take a peek, he swipes at her with his long, bloody blade. A game of cat and mouse ensues. If the two animals were related and the cat was able to wield a knife, I guess it's not like a game of cat and mouse at all. But Michael stalks her from above, the score rising suspensefully as he pursues his sister, eventually jumping down to overturn each table in his path as Laurie crawls away desperately. This is a very cool shot, just seeing him flip over these tables.
Yeah. It is better because when he was just on top of the table, I did laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, it was getting embarrassing.
Honestly.
She's rolling around loud as hell.
And crawling. And
Yeah, it's like, dude, Michael's like, I'm done. We're flipping them.
doesn't this feel like a Scream chase scene?
1,000%.
Yes, it does.
But Lori finally reaches her feet at the end of the row, seizing a California state flag and burying the sharp point of its pole into Michael's stomach before breaking it off. When he finally tears it out, seemingly unfazed, Lori tosses the splintered wood at him and takes off running. But Lori climbs a staircase leading to the second-floor kitchen, tearing open a drawer filled with cutlery. And I guess at some point Michael cleaned up the blood because he killed somebody up here. But as Michael follows her into the room, she tears the drawer open from the cabinet and sets it on the kitchen tiles, hurling sharp object after sharp object at him, which he dodges with ease. But as he arcs his blade toward her, Lori uses the empty drawer to shield herself, rising to her feet to knee Michael in the nuts. His eyes widen comically, but once again unfazed, he frees his knife from the bottom of the drawer as Lori escapes, snagging a few of her discarded blades along the way. I think this is the moment where I really realized how much I hate this mask too. Because it is so tight that it's like a cartoon the way that he reacts to getting kneed in the balls.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And I'm like, I don't think it was supposed to be.
No, it does look funny. And that wasn't his purse, but she does know him.
Yes! I'm thrilled.
But Michael exits the kitchen, stalking his sister's path, only for her to get the drop on him, lurching out from behind a curtain, dual-wielding her blades and stabbing the absolute shit out of him, again and again and again, dodging his attacks as she sends him careening off of the second-floor balcony to land in a heap on the floor below, crashing through one of the remaining dining tables. He lies there motionless, one of her knives stuck deep into his chest. Lori catches her breath, dropping the other knife in her hand for some reason, before slowly making her way down the stairs and back to the cafeteria, clutching her wounded arm. I didn't know if maybe that was a callback to when she dropped the knife in the first one.
Probably.
Okay.
And I think, honestly, the way he lands from the second floor is probably a callback to the first one, too.
True.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe that's why in my mind when she got back down here, I was expecting him to be gone.
Me too.
Yeah.
But the score plods pensively as Lori discovers her brother's body still there on the ground. She pulls the knife from his chest, raising it above her head to finally end this once and for all. But before she can bring the blade down into his body, a returning Ronnie lunges for her, stopping her from doing so. He assures her again and again that Michael is dead, leading her out of the building as the camera rises above the body of the shape, which still rests unmoving at the center of the destroyed table.
LL loves a good fake out. Okay. But I'm like, if he's already dead, what's the harm? Mind your own fucking business.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's happening here.
No.
Just be glad you're alive. Like, go away.
But sometime later, police and emergency personnel swarm the campus, a bandaged Ronnie entering the frame, announcing excitedly to Cheryl on the telephone that he's gonna write a romantic thriller. Cheryl seems pleased to hear this, the couple confessing their love for each other, and if the audience hadn't grasped it, Ronnie offers, "Yeah, I'm fine. The bullet just grazed me."
I know you're fucking lying. We were there.
Dude, Will shot the shit out of you.
Yeah.
He shot you 6 times.
But Ronnie exits off screen, and Lori stands by, watching as a pair of uncredited paramedics zip Michael up in a body bag. But after glancing over at John and Molly, who are being tended to nearby, Lori rearms herself with her axe, which is now resting on the hood of the police car in front of her for some reason. She crosses over to the ambulance, stealing a gun from the holster of one of the officers on her way, aiming at them and ordering them to stay where they are. They do as they're told, as Lori barks at the paramedics to load Michael's body inside of the coroner's van and to back away. Once they do, she climbs into the driver's seat, slamming the door and speeding off. We watch as John limps over in disbelief, followed by Molly, the pair watching as Lori disappears in the stolen van with her brother in tow. The vehicle charges through the open gate at the front of Hillcrest Academy, past Michael's stolen vehicle and down the lonely road. Lori watches in the rearview mirror, waiting for the inevitable to happen as she careens down a curved path, until finally, Michael begins to wriggle beneath the black fabric of his body bag. There are a few moments of him pretending that he's not, which is really funny to me.
Yeah.
But when he finally tears the bag open, he rises upward in seeming confusion, but settles his sights on Lori, finally lunging for her.
The obvious confusion made me laugh because it was like he woke up from an accidental nap.
But as soon as he reaches her, Lori slams on the brakes, sending him shattering through the windshield and tumbling through the dirt on the side of the road. Lori watches, waiting, urging him to come on, to get up. And as soon as he does, Lori puts her foot on the gas, plowing right for him and colliding with him. Something wild that they said on that featurette, I guess, whenever they did this stunt, Donna Keegan slammed on the brakes and Chris Durand crashes through the glass of the windshield. He tumbles, and then you see him sit up, of course. He said they did that all in one take.
Fuck
Oh,
off.
shit.
I was flabbergasted.
Yeah.
That's great work. But Michael holds on for his dear life, face to face with Lori as she drives off the road and down an embankment, the vehicle rolling over and over again, Lori ejected from it as it continues its tumultuous tumble. Michael reaches an overturned tree at the bottom of the hill, caught in its waiting roots, left with nowhere to go as the van finally reaches an abrupt stop, colliding with Michael's spine and leaving him pinned between it and the fallen tree.
That was a bit extreme, but I'll allow it.
It was a lot.
I think what makes it so, I don't know, is just the fact that Michael doesn't make any noise.
Yeah.
It's like a silent film of him being just... But Lori pulls herself to her feet, worse for wear, wiping the blood from her lips as she retrieves her axe from the surrounding shrubbery. A small fire catches beneath the engine of the van as Lori approaches the crash site, discovering Michael there, hunched over the tree. Soft strings sing in the score as Lori calls out to her brother, who finally lifts his head. He reaches for his mask in seeming confusion, only to look up at Lori when she calls his name again. He reaches a desperate hand out to her, and in the flickering light of the fire, Lori crumbles to tears, returning the gesture as she raises her hand to his. But just as their fingers make fleeting contact, Lori comes to her senses, exhaling a sharp breath before clutching her axe in a stern swing, decapitating Michael Myers with one blow. His head tumbles to the grass below, his eyes still wide within his white mask as Lori stands resolute, the Halloween theme beginning to play as police sirens wail in the distance. We cut to black, and the credits roll. Before we close out, I do want to say that there were kind of warring factions when it came to the creative decisions at the end of this film.
Okay.
There was one group who said that this will be a definitive end. We'll have Halloween 1, Halloween 2, Halloween H20. It's a new trilogy.
Yeah.
And then the other group was Mustafa Akkad. And he said that he would not allow Michael Myers to be killed at all. And so, depending on the source, because I saw a few different things.
Yeah.
One said that Jamie Lee Curtis was willing to walk away from the project if it didn't at least appear conclusive.
Yeah.
And another source said that production was just shut down for a little while they tried to come up with the proper ending that would satisfy everyone. And regardless, eventually what happened is Kevin Williamson pitched an idea that would be satisfactory for Jamie Lee Curtis and Laurie Strode, for Laurie Strode to feel that she has killed Michael Myers in this moment and has brought finality to the whole thing.
Okay.
And for Mustafa Akkad to eventually be able to continue on and make more Halloween films.
Okay.
They pitched this idea to Steve Miner, who absolutely hated it. And he was basically forced to shoot it, quote, under protest, some connecting scenes that would allow for what will begin Halloween Resurrection.
Oh.
So there are some scenes that we see at the beginning of Resurrection that were filmed right here by Steve Miner to satisfy that ending.
And they just weren't used here.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
And we will talk about that maybe in a year's time.
Yeah.
But I have to ask the customary question. So, what did you guys think of Halloween H20 20 years later?
Before I go on how I feel about the overall movie, I do want to say that I love this ending. This ending is, for me, perfect. For Laurie, for Michael, for everything if we're stopping here. I always bitch and say, why do the bad guys get the second chance or the opportunity to? It's like, no, he's had enough. And then you just leave him there. And then in the next movie, it's like, you should have killed me. And it's like, well, here, Laurie's like, no. We're done. And the head's off, and I was like, yes, thank you. And not only that, the fucking van crushed him. So it's like, dude.
He was done anyway.
Yeah. Come on. But I really enjoyed this. I haven't watched this since I was a teen, like literally maybe older teens, but still, you know what I mean? And I still had a lot of fun watching this movie. I would, again, 1, 2 this, I'm fine. I'm completely fine. 3, yes, of course, throw it in there, but 3 is a different kind of fun and a different kind of Halloween. 4, 5, and 6, I'm okay. I'm good. But this was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed this. Coming back, I did like this Laurie, her figuring out towards the end, look, no, I have to deal with this, and standing up and being like, look, I'm going to fuck this dude up. And her setting the trick up or the trap and then hitting him with the fire extinguisher was the funniest shit in the world.
I was like, Michael, you dumbass.
Yes. I was like, oh, and he fell for it.
He's rusty.
That's 20 years.
Yeah.
But this movie still there's a lot. It's not great. It's not stellar. It's not, and maybe it is seeing it when, we were younger or whatever. And I know I didn't watch it as much as you guys, but there is still something very, very comfortable about the movie. Watching it and seeing even how it's filmed and just like made or edited or whatever, anything of it feels very comfortable. It feels fine. Like I could watch this again and it wouldn't be a problem. This does feel very, very much like a comfort movie. But everything else, everybody does what they're supposed to do. Josh Hartnett's great. Everybody else does, you know what I mean? A fantastic job. I think Ronnie being alive, he's the real hero.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was still alive. He's going to go on and make his books.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so.
It just grazed him. It's all right.
It didn't just graze him.
No.
But I'm happy for him.
Right. But I would, if you've never seen this, I would recommend anyone to watch it. Again, it's not great, but it's a lot of fun. And I think for the runtime, it does go and then it goes. But for the runtime and everything that we do have in here, it's fine. Like I did have a lot of fun and I would revisit this.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know that it's not amazing, but I kind of love this. Like,
yeah.
And I'm sure that nostalgia plays heavily into it, but I think that this ending is perfect. I love that I don't love that she never let her guard down, but I love that she was ready when it came time to be ready.
Yeah.
She protected her son. She didn't protect her boyfriend, but she protected herself, and she put an end to this nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that for her. I love the idea of her finally being able to heal and get closure, knowing that the Michael Myers terror is done and she ended it. That this is, the post-credit ending that I'm making up in my own head. And she and John can, better their relationship, and he can understand why she was the way she was. Like,
yeah.
I love this ending for her. It sucks that Charlie and Sarah had to die.
Yeah,
that's
and
true.
It sucks that Laurie's boyfriend had to die because they were really cute too. But I mean,
they were, but it was too close, him and Mike.
He was a little killery.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that this is a blast. Like you said, I would definitely recommend watching it. I think that there is something also, like you said, so comfortable about it. We were talking the other day and we're like, now this feels like a movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't know. now, I don't know. I feel like movies feel very different and look very different.
Yeah.
But
I
there's
agree.
something so cozy and comfortable about revisiting this. I love, like I said, I love Laurie's arc of where she is now. And I do appreciate that they didn't include kind of ties to Jamie Lloyd, because that would really make me side eye. She's like, no, this kid I'll protect.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked
It's
up.
kind of fucked up. But no, I think that this is a lot of fun. I think it's a cool installment to this franchise. Being able to revisit it 20 years in the future, still have our Laurie Strode, put a concrete, we'll talk about what comes later, ending to what would be this new trilogy. I really think that this, I kind of love Halloween H2O 20 years later. I don't love the title.
No.
But the film, I think, is so much fun.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's just such a burst of like 90s nostalgia. It feels like a little bit of a time capsule, but there's so much of it that is just timelessly fun.
Yeah.
Like I really did have a blast returning to this after quite a while, really, maybe too long.
Yeah.
And I know that people do, and I've seen a lot online of people complaining about so many different timelines with the Halloween franchise. But to me, I think that that's kind of awesome, because you can kind of do like a choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
You have like so many avenues to go down,
Yeah.
you know? I think that that's really cool. To me, and I've said it many times, I do not like what comes next. I think that it works so much better, and echoing what you both said, about it being this definitive ending.
Yeah.
It being this trilogy, Laurie's character arc. It's great if it ends here.
Yeah.
And it should. But I don't know. I feel like it's a really, really refreshing watch all these years later. It's not perfect.
No.
And there's stuff that you can pick apart. There's stuff that just does not work exactly. And I feel like the runtime, as short as it is, they could have done a little bit more with some other things.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, very wild to me for this film to be 81 minutes.
Yeah.
This 20-year anniversary sequel.
It is.
Like, let's make it the shortest one.
Yeah.
Get in, get out.
Even the credits too felt very Universal horror, because it's like she does
Yeah.
it, stands there for a second, and they're like, get the fuck out. Like,
Yeah.
it's over.
If I'm not mistaken, they said that they had to do that because of the timing of John Carpenter's theme.
Oh.
And so it's like, even then, it's like, man, you guys, you didn't fucking get the mask figured out. Like, God damn. There's a lot of behind the scenes.
That's so funny.
But I guess we can just slide into ratings now.
Yeah.
I really think that this one is probably one of my favorite sequels in the entirety of the franchise.
Okay.
I have a lot of course, affection for Halloween 2. Halloween, the original, is top 5 favorite horror films of all time for me. So it does take a lot to... I'm a very difficult critic, maybe. And I do think that the things that I don't like about this film are overshadowed by the power of nostalgia.
Okay.
And maybe I'm a little less lenient on other films in the franchise because I did watch them older.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like... And I will say, I don't want it to seem as though I don't like David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. I think there's a lot of interesting ideas there. And I love 2018 and Halloween Kills. I have an affection for. I want to like Ends more than I do. But
I feel like we only saw Ends once.
True.
Yeah.
And I think that a big part of that is the expectations going into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe whenever it comes time to get to that one and covering it just as it is, who knows?
Yeah.
But I think that this is a lot of fun. I don't... I personally, I like Marco Beltrami's work for Scream. I like being reminded of Scream because it's also a nostalgic favorite, but that's not Halloween music.
Right.
I want dun, dun, dun. I want those things.
Yeah, yeah.
These little reminders that were present in John Ottman's score. So I think that was a big swing and a miss and a big mistake for them to just scrap it.
Oh, yeah.
But the masks I've already mentioned a few times. And that thing confuses me so much too. I know that you're trying to get this 20th anniversary sequel. You need to time it so you can release it.
Right.
So maybe there are things that you need to, you know, kind of rush or figure out in a certain way just to meet that deadline. But why the hell is the mask not one of them?
Yeah.
How do you get into production and switched masks, I believe, 3 times.
That's crazy.
That's a wild, wild thing to me. And I mean, I don't want to make it as much of a detraction against the film because the film itself, like, that's just an aspect of it. But it is distracting sometimes.
No, it is.
Where you're like, what the hell, dude?
It's almost like when you have a wrench in your hand and you're slamming it against the window to break it.
Yeah, it's like,
One might even say it's worse.
But no, I do really enjoy this film a lot. And I could easily see myself doing that rewatch through a trilogy like that. 1, 2, H2O, done. Tons of fun.
Yeah.
And I wrestled a lot with my score, but I think I've come up with something that's fair.
Okay.
So for me, out of 10 undoubtedly definitive decapitations, I am going to give Halloween H2O 20 years later 7.5 undoubtedly definitive decapitations out of 10. I want to go to 8, but I don't think that I should.
Okay.
But I will now open the floor to you.
No, that's fair. I think, I'll be honest, watching this and like really sitting here and pausing and, you know, working on it for the show, I really fucking enjoyed this. Like, not saying that you shouldn't, but you're right. The things that are bad are the things that you can look at and be like, what the fuck was, but it doesn't matter. I feel like the movie, not that it was just like, hey, look, we're going to take a chance and put this movie together and then hope everybody loves it. Like, I'm sure some of that did go on, but the movie, I don't know how, but every movie's a miracle.
Indeed.
This one worked for me. And I did have a lot of fun. I do really believe that if we watched it tomorrow, it would be fine. Like, it is really, really fun. And I thinking about the 1, 2, and then H2O, it's like, no, yeah, I'm completely okay with that. I understand you on the music, because the music too, for me, there was a few times that I was like, it's not menacing. It's just not giving me, fright. There's no, you know what I mean? There is a little bit of like intrigue or like, oh, what's going on here? But I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna die. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not happening. But everything else is really fun. It's funny. It's entertaining. Again, Ronnie's fucking comedy of LL Cool J. Ronnie's a great character. Laurie, you know, at the end again, coming back and whatever, I was like, this is cool. I really, really fucking enjoyed it. And like we were talking about the later entries, I haven't seen the Rob Zombie ones, and the other ones, what is it, Return or whatever, Kills and Ends, and is it Just Halloween?
Yeah.
Or he's
Yes.
not returning anymore, right?
It's the third film in the franchise called Just Halloween.
But I know we only seen those once, but I do trying to remember or pull from those. I can't think of maybe but another time or two that like everything was going on like in this entry, in this movie. Those were like, I do remember us being disappointed in some stuff, but this movie, I feel like even the disappointing things that didn't matter, I'm still just like, I don't give a fuck, whatever. Oh shit, it's Mike, he's, you know, lowering himself down or whatever. But it's hard to explain because a lot of it did feel comfortable. A lot of it did feel just kind of like, damn, this is a movie. This is Michael Myers. And maybe it is watching it again, nostalgia. Maybe it is. But I think for me, on a scale from 1 to 10, undoubtedly definitive decapitations, I'm going to give Halloween H2O 20 years later. That's a lot. An 8.5 out of 10. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I was very surprised. I'm going to be honest. I laughed and I was like, that's fucking funny. Oh, shit. There you go, Lori.
Yeah.
He's got to be working with Michael Myers. Oh, no, Mike killed him.
All right.
Oh, shit. Oh, no. Oh, she cut his fucking head off. Good for you.
And it's over.
Yeah.
This is a good for her film.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, the runtime is short. Me bitching about them killing the killer or whatever at the end, it happened. There was stuff that I've asked for. It happens in the movie. I've got nothing to complain about.
True. Yeah, I don't want to just repeat everything because I don't think that anybody disagrees with anything here.
No,
I
yeah.
would say there are a few things. The mask stuff is pretty egregious. Seeing clearly Michael Myers and then when they run up to him, it's LL Cool J. pretty egregious. But there is something about this film where even things like that, it's charming.
Yes.
I'm not like, this is fucking dumb. I'm like, that. What are y'all doing?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
it's funny. It adds to the experience in this charming, weird way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the standout thing here is Laurie's arc and how she handles herself and her bravery at the end of the film, and just her having the balls after all this time and trauma to just end it. It might take me out too, but I'm ending this, you know?
Yeah.
I love Josh Hartnett. I think that he is incredible for this being his first film. But if you think about it, he was doing The Faculty at the same time, and he was great in The Faculty.
Yeah, that's true.
He said something really sad in an interview where he was talking about watching this film at the premiere, and he's like, yeah, everything about this film was good except me.
No.
I'm like,
Come
dude, come on.
Yeah.
I would never guess that this is his first film.
No.
I think that this is such like a splash, like for him as an actor to like come onto the scene like this. But he's great. I loved seeing all these like familiar 90s faces, you know. It was just a lot of fun. This was a blast to revisit. I'm glad that we're finally here.
Yeah.
We've gone through a lot of Halloweens to get here.
Yes.
Much like Michael and Laurie.
Yes, exactly. But all that to say, on a scale from 1 to 10, undoubtedly definitive decapitations, I gave Halloween H20 20 years later an 8 out of 10. Checks notes. Undoubtedly definitive decapitations. But I'm not mad at your 8.5.
Look, and again, I understand the thorn thing and whatever. It's not for me.
Uh-huh.
And after that, I was begging for a little different mic, and I got it.
Right.
And that's fine. You know what I mean? If you like 4, 5, and 6, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, this one is not without its problems. I think that we pointed out quite a few of them.
Yeah.
There's just something here that just, I don't know, it fits. It works. I like it.
And then comes Resurrection.
Yeah. We got a year.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's all from us at Pod Mortem. What would you rate Halloween H20 20 years later, and what should we watch next? Let us know on Instagram at the Pod Mortem. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and like our Stairhole Productions page on Facebook. Be sure to follow each of us on Instagram and Blue Sky at TravisMWH, at Blood and Smoke, and at JuggaloDaddy84. Thanks again to Original Cinematic for sponsoring this week's episode. Please consider pledging to our Patreon, where you'll gain access to over 250 hours of bonus content, our monthly schedule, our Discord server, and the opportunity to help us decide which films to cover. And if you're looking for Pod Mortem and Stairhole Productions merch, follow the link in our episode notes. Stay tuned until after the music for a special thank you to our Wendigo Getter patrons. And remember, if the ghosts of your past continue to haunt you in your present, don't fall for their trick. Face them head on to make sure your future will be a treat. Until next time. Thank you for staying tuned. We want to give a very special thank you to all of our Wendigo Getter patrons.
Woo! Yeah.
Fantastic work. A special thank you to
Chris Ontiveros, Kristen Lofton, Megan Martinez, Kimberly Bass, Sophie Hodson, Anthony Jerome M., Jordan Nash, Kent Morton, Lala Thomas, Travis Anissa Hunter, Miguel Myers ATX, Jennifer Perez, Allison O'Neill, Carissa, TJ and Angie Bronson, Andy Teague, Applin Ontiveros, Karima Rhodes, Kimberly Kleindienst, Bobby Holm, Molly Gerhart, Armand Spasto, Aaron Aguirre, Eggy, William Barry, Charity Oxner, Amanda Six, Mandy Rainwater, Eden, Jordan Roberts, Dylan, Spencer Montalvo, Pancake the Panda, John Ramos, Michael Newting, Alexis Roberts, Dan Laveau, Itzy M, Gary Horton, Kate Lamp, Carlos and Sydney, Jessica Hunter, Helena Rudder, Alan Johnston, Mariah, Livy Fun, Scott Troutman Wise, Mozzie Bear, Dave Burke, Emma Hagel Kissinger, Valerie G, Emiliana, CB, Taylor Santana, Will Lewison, Angelique, Smelly Poo Poo Head, Beth Bauer, Cookie, Esperanza J, Jason Kyle OKC, Joshua Rumley, Danielle Peralta, Sawyer Reese Farr, Sahara, Girl That's Scary, Cassandra, Andrea Simmons, Ashley Higuera, William and Xxena Rush, Ryan Braum, Megan Ochoa, Laura Lassiter, Eileen O, Marissa E, Henry F, Megan M, Strangely Sarah, Christy Beck, Nancy and Andy, Amanda Lopez, Andy Terrell, Erica Morin, Tris Wynn, K.87, Mariah Jensen, Carrie A, Lonnie Lono, Powell, Kayla E, Maggie H, Murder Stina, Kristen Marcy, Ori 81 Baricua, Look Like That One Girl, Bog Boy, Felnez 63, Alita Pui, Probably My Jugs, Kate Thackeray, Wade Pack,
A Lizard, Bay J, Jay Rich, Topher Williams, Elena Metler, Valerie K, Christy Lee Kruger, Professor of Humanities Laura McCarricker, Naomi, Josh Smith, Autumn Green, Abby Kopp, Crystal 831, Skank Sinatra, Morgan Alexander, Tony Osteen, Julie Fredborg, Rihanna S, Daniel Taylor, Anna Kate, Heather Ortiz, Kim H, August, Jenny May, Glittery Fab, Malik Caselli Armstrong, Scarly D, Toya Shea, Katie, Martin Shaw, Star, Tyler J, Cam Davies, Patrick Hoagland, Raven, Wesley Tart, Kristen Jackson, Jacob Nordberg, Samantha, Damian Grant, Half Price Horror, Clemmy, Nisi Nay, Jason X Rules, Aaron Norman, Victoria Smith, Patricia A. Graham, Erasmo Pena, Danielle Wright, Tabitha Thomas, Richard Murray, Irene, Sally Slater 52, Jordan McCarthy, Christy Michelle Wilson, Rosalind Harnias, Emily Rance, Amy, Lisa and Kathy, Mike H., Christian Sadler, Hannah, Sarah Jack, Casey L., Evelyn Knight, Paula Garcia, Nikki M., Ghastly Granddad, Megan and Alexandra Saldivar, Lisa Sykes, Kelsey Niemeyer Cook, Martina LaForce,
JG, Morgan Novello, Ashley, Alex M, Brandon C, Gordon Sutherland, Georgia Renland, Ashley Poe, Diana Joe, Connor Gormley, Carrie Parker, Katie Face, Jane Pillsbury, Caitlin Asher, Mia Franz, Pooh Bear, Spicy Caldera, This is the Zodiac speaking, Jason the Ghost, Moldy Tic Tac, Brian Ward, Tanner Rutgers, Gremlin Keeper 22, Sam Spade 666, Veronica, Kristen Rhodes, Daniel Laurent, Carmito, TVR, Avewi Sweepy Baby, Nicholas Rage, A Lazy Boy, Nicola Williams, Sadison Miles, Stu Corbett, Brick O, Jaden Nicole, Lost Fan 08, George L. Robertson, Mercedes X Bleeple, Joel Miller Apologist, Jaylene Perry, Cool Trainer Elijah, Mrs. Bloomingdale, Sierra Duncan, Renee Hart, Meg Like Sleep, Final Boy, Alani, Nosferah Dude, Elizabeth Thompson, Joey, Michelle Nicole, The Lipstick Demon, Less Than Zombie, Franklin Badge, Sean Reeves, The Kryptonian Orphan, Melissa B, Elena C, Jillian Munford, Evil Chris, Rexterm Raoul, Witchy Poop 19, Brian Avers, Danielle Milton, Instant Horror, Just Give Me One Wish Like Ray J, Skin Deep, Christian Salvatierra, Ashay Guevara, Aaron Mr. Clean Bouchard, Hinny Kravitz, Francisco Olmos, Nicholas Doba, Paunchy Cat, Christina Perez, Buddy Boy Mac, Revamped, a Rewatch Podcast, Sarah Coolidge, Show Livia, Film Fiend, Catherine Clark, Moonfire, and Brandon Brown. Thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate each and every one of you, and we are so grateful for you helping us to feel Halloween.
Very good. Very true.
I do my best. Until next time.